But my beats, they are hard.
Welcome back to another BCSN conversation. Joining us today from St. Louis, Missouri, Harris-Stowe State University. And Coach, I'm going to say this. Forgive me if I accidentally say Harris-Stowe State College because that's what it was when I was living in St. Louis. But
I
Harris-Stowe State
understand.
University, men's basketball head coach Breon Dunlap. He's in his fifth season at Harris-Stowe. It's 81 and 46 over those 5 seasons, including 23 and 9 last year, 15 and 7 in conference, and winner of the conference tournament last year. So, first of all, Coach, how's everything going? How's the family? How's everything on campus for you guys?
But first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Everything's been going, relatively smooth considering. Everyone's healthy. That's the main thing for sure. We're trying to stay within our protocol and what we're doing from the COVID standpoint of things. Our guys have been really receptive of what the university has in place and trying to maintain our safety, and not only ours, but the other student athletes and the other student body and administration as well. So we've been good with that. It's been weird though, just for the simple fact that we haven't had we've tried to break down practices a little bit differently, simply because we had such a layoff, being our last game, being a championship game back in March, and then guys being away from being able to really do live stuff from like 5 to 6 months. So we kind of had to change our focus in practice, not go so many days in a row, give them more breaks to understand it was going to take a little while to get their legs back and get back into playing basketball. So that's been something that we've been trying to deal with on a daily basis, and no different than we say play one possession at a time. We do the same thing about take each day, play one day at a time. Let's make sure we stay sanitized, keep our hygiene, be mindful of what's been going on with the pandemic so we can get to tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. And for those, a lot of people don't realize, yes, Harris-Stowe is an HBCU.
Yes, sir.
There are two HBCUs in the state of Missouri, Harris-Stowe, which is in St. Louis, the other Lincoln University, Lincoln of Missouri in Jefferson City, Missouri. But Harris-Stowe and Lincoln are forgotten about a lot of times because they don't play in the traditional HBCU conferences. They play in
Right.
just historically white conferences. But that's just a sidebar, kind of right there, Coach. Uh, First of all, let's talk about last year.
Hmm.
Great season last year. Like I said, you finished 23 and 9, winners of your conference tournament. But I know there has to be some empty feeling from last year because you did not get an opportunity, even though, and I don't have it in front of me. I know you finished to number 24 overall in the NAIA. Don't remember where you guys were seated at going into the tournament specifically, but I know you had a pretty good draw, at least in that opening round. Talk
Hmm.
about that disappointment of not being able to finish it off and win or lose it on the court, as we're traditionally used to seeing when it comes to athletics.
Well, we were slotted a 6 seed in our bracket, which was the highest seed that we've attained since I've been here, which was great. That shows the progression of our program and what we've been able to do. Also, the emptiness came more so from having to have that meeting with our guys. I remember we had the selection show on a Wednesday night, and then the next day it was to talk about maybe the tournament not being played, but we weren't sure, so it was still up in the air. We were going to have practice, and then just bringing the guys in and having that meeting with those seniors, and not only just the seniors, but with the entire team, and just seeing their devastation and having to convey to them that season's over. It hurt, it was painful. And I know those guys wanted it so bad and they had worked so hard. And at that time, the way that we had been playing, we felt uber confident of how well we could possibly do in the tournament and make a long run with the personnel that we had. And not only that, but the way we were playing and how we felt about each other as a group. So we do feel in a sense that, the what if was taken away from us. Could we have made a run to the national championship? We honestly feel that we could have. We would have liked to have had the opportunity to see that, but we understood during the pandemic, like, decisions had to be made. And unfortunately, tough decisions were made, and our guys had to receive that information. And for them, they took it as well as you could possibly take it, I guess, in that situation. And I just tried to reiterate to them the hard work that they did, that the one thing they couldn't take from us was the fact that we were still champions, and they were going to be champions not only for that day, but for the rest of their lives. So we tried to just make sure we honed in on that piece and make it, try to spin it as positively as we possibly could during that moment.
What would it have been to you traveling the 240 miles west down I-70? Because for those who don't know, the NAIA tournament is held in Kansas City. And to most people, those are the only two cities in the state any doggone way. But just to travel the 240 miles west to KC to compete, what would that have been, keeping it in the state?
Yeah, it would have been a humongous feat again. Like I said, last year was my fourth year, so last year was our third championship, I should say, that we've been able to bring here to Harris-Stowe in the 4 years that I've been here as a head coach. So this would have been our third time going to Kansas City, going down that road, and having a chance to play in the national tournament. The first two times, we unfortunately came up short in the first round game, but we knew with this group that we could hopefully exceed those expectations and get out of the first round, and, like I said, make a run for the national championship. So it was something. It's always a goal that we have every year to win our conference championship, win the regular season championship, and then give ourselves an opportunity to play in the national tournament, because anything goes in that setting. So that's always been our goal since day one, since I've gotten here. So, and we've been blessed enough to have, like I said, won 3 championships in 4 years. So that's put us in position to do those things. And with it being the last year of being split up Division I to Division II in NAIA, that would have been a special season as well, because now it's all one division. It's all one division in NAIA, which brings on more competition, which is great. Brings on different faces that you haven't possibly played against or seen. It's going to make the national tournament a little bit different. We have a regional tournament before you go to the national tournament. So it's going to be an interesting year, as long as we can continue to move forward within the year due to the pandemic.
Last thing we're going to talk about with last year's team. And those are going to be the guys who were on last year's team who won't be there this year. You lost a couple of key players due to natural matriculation, graduation, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll just go list a couple of them for you. Dwayne Clark, who happened to be second team all conference last year. Maurice Smith, who was on the all academic team last year, and Romeo Bowie. So just kind of talk about those guys and any other key guys who have left the program due to graduation, matriculation, transfer, and how they're going to be missed.
Well, Dwayne was a huge piece, just for the simple fact he was our anchor on the back end, offensively and defensively. He was a former Division I transfer, local St. Louis guy. He brought a lot of passion to the game. Sometimes it was misunderstood, but he brought a lot of passion. Currently, he's in the midst of hopefully, during the pandemic, having a chance to go play professionally overseas. That's something that he set out he wanted to do when he first became a student athlete and played on collegiate ranks, and he's having that opportunity in front of him. Maurice was a huge loss for two reasons. One, his versatility. Two, he was a very intelligent player. But the other piece was Maurice was actually granted a waiver to be able to have an opportunity to have a year back and come back and play this year. But due to everything that was going on, he chose a different path, so that hurt us. But we all wish all of them well. Romeo was a huge piece as well because he was just another senior with another voice. He stepped up big for us in different times. We could play him in different positions as well. His versatility was huge. He made big plays, and he wasn't afraid to make big shots. Another player we lost was Emmanuel Primer. He came off the bench. He had a solid role for us. He made shots for us. He was one of our better perimeter defenders, and he brought a toughness to us as well. So those guys that we lost off the team, we have to make up for those guys in a variety of different ways, from small to big, literally and figuratively. But we think we will have the opportunity to do that. But they were a huge piece of our success. With Dwayne being with us for 2 years and Romeo being with us for 2 years, Maurice was with us for 1 year, which was last year, as well as Emmanuel. But what they brought to the table was a lot of versatility and as well as toughness, and just having that senior leadership, whether it was vocal or by example, but just being an older person with an older body and being able to go through some of the things they've been through to work through adversity helped us out a great deal as well.
All right. We're talking with Harris-Stowe State University head coach Breon Dunlap of the Harris-Stowe State Hornets, correct? Is it Hornets or Yellow Jackets?
It's the Hornets. Yes, sir.
Hornets. Okay. I been gone from home too long. Full disclosure, I am from St. Louis, Missouri. Grew up looking at the old campus. That campus has grown tremendously since my days as a teenager in St. Louis. So we're going to talk about some of the key players for this year's team. And I'm going to save one. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about some of the other players first, because we could probably talk about that particular player the remainder of this interview.
Right.
Nick McKenzie, who was honorable mention all conference last year. Wesley Anderson, who was on the all academic team also last year. A couple key players. Talk about them and any other key players that are going to be key into your rotation for this year.
Well, Nick was a huge piece for us. He's a shot maker, and he's another one that's not afraid to take shots. And the one thing that I enjoyed from Nick this upcoming season, he came to me and he said to coach, I want to be on a member of the all defensive team. So he wants to take pride in that side of the ball, which is great. I love guys who want to defend and want to be out there and try to stop the opposing team. And he's brought on that challenge onto himself. And every day I make sure that he knows, like, hey, this is what you said to me. You want to be all defensive team. Let's continue to work in that avenue and that part. And the other thing he does, Nick has a tremendous work ethic. He's always in the gym and he's always trying to get better. And I appreciate that part of him, and that can be contagious throughout the team for sure. Wes is just calm, cool, and collected. He's so poised and has so much composure. Sometimes it's almost to a default at times because you don't think he's going as hard, but he is, because he's just playing at his own pace. I think down the road, about 15 years, when he's playing in the YMCA, he's going to be a great old man in the league just because his pace is never going to change. But he's a shot maker for us as well. But he brings a high IQ to our team and a calmness to our team that we definitely was able to use last year as well. And he's done that again. We'll do that again for us this year. Another player, El Malik Martin. He played sparingly throughout the year last year in different roles, different capacity. But he's one of our better playmakers on the team. For him, it's just as long as he just understands that less is more, like he'll be a huge contributor for us going forward with this year's team. And then we have some other additional pieces that we're waiting to get into the fold, that once we get our whole team together in our collective group, that I think we have a chance to be pretty special and have a special year as well, as long as we can continue to have a season.
Who are some of the newcomers, be it by transfer or be it freshmen, that we that we need to keep an eye on for you guys this year?
Well, Malik Anderson, he's actually Wes's brother. Malik is a big-time shooter, but not only just a shooter, he's a big-time basketball player. Like Wes, he's a very high IQ, and like Wes as well, he plays at a pace that you think he's not going super hard, but he gets it done. But like I say, he's a big-time shooter and a player as well. And then one player I forgot about as well that returning is Jamar Joseph. You know, he helped us out a lot down the stretch. He didn't get a lot of playing time throughout the early portion of the year, but he stuck with it. He kept working on his game, and then he made big plays throughout the course of the year. So I call him kind of like a newcomer because he didn't get the amount of time that he probably wanted early in the season, but later part of the season, he was a huge piece. So, I think he's going to be another piece that's going to be helpful for us as well. All
right. Now the elephant in the room when it comes to these when it comes to your players. Deshaun Munson, Mr. Everything when it comes to NAIA and the conference. And let me go down the list because I had to write all this stuff down because I couldn't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. NAIA, he was first team all NAIA, player of the year in the conference, newcomer of the year in the conference. First team all conference, and he was on the all conference defensive team also. So not only can he score, but he can lock you up too.
Don't say that too loud. Don't say that too loud.
And you guys have already played 2 games this year. He started off this year with Player of the Week honors, averaging 42 points, 14 and a half rebounds, and 6.5 assists. Yeah. Including a career high 51, unfortunately in a loss for you guys, but 51 is 51. I don't care how you get it and on what level that you get it. 51 is still 51. Right, talk about Deshaun Munson for us.
Well, I'll say this: he's been blessed by the man above. He's a special talent for sure. The one thing that is probably underrated about Deshaun is the fact that he has such a high basketball IQ. He understands what opponents are trying to do to him to affect him, and he finds a way to counter and adjust just within the midst of the game, within the midst of possession, not only just from us helping him, but also him figuring it out on his own. And he does that as well, and he tries to, throughout the course of the game, help his teammates with that part as well of how teams are defending him so they can have a chance to be successful too. So like I said, he's been a blessing to be able to coach, just because someone with his talent and his skill set, sometimes people can't reach those type of players. And we've had our moments, but he's very coachable. Like, even though you may not think he's hearing you, he's listening to you and he's absorbing it, and he's going to apply it when the opportunity presents itself. But he, like I say, he's a very special talent, and we're lucky to have him, and we're blessed to have him. And I know that his teammates have worked hard for themselves to become better. He's worked hard for himself to become better, so then we all can become better together. And that's been the best thing as well. He's just so competitive. He wants to win. He wants to win, and he wants his teammates to be good as well, to the point that sometimes it's at a fault. Like, he'll make plays or they'll make plays, and if he misses a shot, then he'll get on himself. Or if they miss a shot and he wants them to make it so bad, I'm like, listen, we got to continue to help each other out. Just continue to feed each other on both ways and every way possible in practice and in games and off the court as well, and we'll be fine. But he's been a joy to coach. I don't get into watching them. I know sometimes, coaches, when they have special talents like that, they get into watching them. I don't. When he makes a big time play in practice or the game, I just tell him he's not any good. I was like, you're not any good. So what? I've seen that before. Just so just to play
Keep
it
him
off.
humble.
But I mean, he does some things that that you don't get to see every day. But we're blessed enough to see it every day.
All right. We're the HBCU Sports Show, so I'll ask you to quickly talk about your schedule. But since we are HBCU Sports Show, I've got to bring up the one HBCU that you do have on your schedule, Philander Smith.
Yes, sir.
You guys, because of where you are geographically and your conference, you don't get a chance to play too many HBCU. So just talk about how special that particular matchup is between the two HBCUs for you guys.
Well, I enjoy us playing other HBCUs. I also enjoy us traveling to play at other HBCU venues, just for the simple fact that our guys can see, take a snapshot and take a picture of not only our university but other HBCUs as well. So it's fun. It's always fun when you're playing against another HBCU, just because each team will bring their own tradition, so to speak. And they're going to carry that banter with them when they're playing, because they know what they're representing when they step on that court each and every time. No different than last year when we played Lincoln in the Show Me State Classic. It was a heck of a game. Came down to the wire. Both teams fought hard. Both teams played extremely hard. A lot of plays were made throughout. So, and then the atmosphere was just so. It was so, as the kids say, it was so lit. So it was just fun to be a part of. And every game that we've had opportunity to play another HBCU, those games have been very fun just to be a part of and be involved in.
And just so people know, you used to coach. You were assistant coach at Winston-Salem, which
Yes, sir.
is another one of our HBCUs in the all-competitive basketball conference called the CIAA.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to school at Old Dominion, which is across the street down the road from Norfolk State. So I got to ask you, nobody's listening to us right now. Tell us the truth, Coach. How much time did you spend on Norfolk State campus instead of your own?
So we were at the 7-Eleven right there on the corner a lot, during the Norfolk State days and going to the concerts and things over there. And not to mention, we were just 15 minutes down the road through the tunnel from Hampton University as well. So
That is true.
And at that time, Norfolk State sometimes would play football games on our campus at our stadium.
Right,
so
before they had their own stadium.
Yeah, so whenever they had their home football games, we were there, right there in the crowd, like in the Norfolk State crowd. And then the same
you cheated
thing
and got you a little bit of HBCU experience as an
Oh
undergrad.
yeah, for sure. I did. Yeah, I mean, it was right there in our reach. So we went and we became a part of it, and we enjoyed our time over at Norfolk State as well as at Hampton. And then every once in a while, I made it back to one HU Howard homecoming, because I'm originally from the DMV. So I got a little bit of everything. And then my mom and family went to Winston-Salem State as undergrad. So I had gone to those homecomings many of times. So I've had my taste of the pie for sure.
All right. We're going to get you out of here on these last couple of points. First of all, Coach, I always like to yield the floor to whoever I'm interviewing at the end. Whatever you need to get off your chest, whatever I did ask you that you want to get out, the time is yours, the floor is yours. Please speak.
Well, the main thing is, like I said before to begin, I appreciate the opportunity. I thank you for having me on, allowing myself to talk a little bit about Harris-Stowe and our university. Our main thing is to continue to try to make this small school big and broaden the horizon and put us on the map. I remember the first year that sorry about that. I remember the first year when I came here. I was at a grocery store and I had on a Harris-Stowe t-shirt, and someone asked me, where was that? And I'm like, it's down the road.
What, you on Grand or something?
I was close by the school.
All right.
And I was like, it's down the road. It's right across the street from St. Louis University. And they had no idea, and they had been here forever. And so
and they literally bump up to each other now.
yes, I mean, we had an exhibition versus SLU my second year. We walked across the street to the game. Like we walked. We didn't get in no vans, nothing. We just walked and had the game. And so, that's the other piece, is trying to get our name of the school out there, our brand out there, and to let people know that our student athletes, they come here, they work hard, just like other student athletes, other universities, and they're very prideful, and they take pride in what we have been able to accomplish here in the short term. But not only just from a basketball standpoint, but also trying to put our other parts of the school, our other parts of the athletic department on the map as well, so we can attract more and more people here just to take a look at the small school right here in St. Louis, the small HBCU in St. Louis that's making big things happen. So like I said, I appreciate you having me on and giving me this platform and allowing me to talk about my guys and having us a chance to broaden our horizon of the school.
All right, Coach. How do we get in touch with you if we've got a player that we feel that you need to put on your radar to look at? If we want to follow Harris-Stowe Athletics, and most importantly, if we want to send a check to support Harris-Stowe Athletics, give us all that information. Where do we need to log on to for all that stuff?
So if you go to www.hssu.edu /athletics, and it'll take you straight to our athletic web page as well. You go in there, click on men's basketball. My email is my first initial B, my last name Dunlap, DUNLAP, @hssu.edu. So if you want to send me an email about a player, or if you want to send me an email, we can come chop it up and talk about funds to the university. Let me know, and we can make that happen as well. More than welcome, but we want any and everybody who want to be a part or know about the part of what we got going on in our history of the university and our history of our programs to ask the questions, and we'll be willing to answer them for sure.
All right, Coach. Well, we thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and for Harris-Stowe State University, and I have to slow down when I say that because I so much want to say State College. But Harris-Stowe State University Hornets men's head coach Brian Dunlap. This is AD Drew of the Black College Sports Network, and we thank you all for joining us for this HBCU conversation.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media @MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @MyBCSN1.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Q Time is our classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Welcome to another BCSN conversation. We're continuing our preseason basketball interviews, and joining us today from Miami Gardens, Florida, the sometimes forgotten HBCU in the state of Florida, the Florida Memorial Lions men's head basketball coach, Ansar Alamin.
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Alamin,
Yes,
how you
sir.
doing today? How's the family? How's the weather? Because we know you guys had, at the time that we're recording this, you know, we had some tropical storms go through the state. Didn't really touch you guys side of the state, but even still, tropical storm in Florida is a tropical storm in Florida. And how are things going on campus?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. You know what I mean? My family's good. My wife is a month out from having my first child and her first child. So we're excited.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you, sir. I need that. You know, now I need some help babysitting.
No, what you need are Pampers is what you need.
I need Pampers, a babysitter, and someone to wake up with the baby in the middle of the night. If I could get an assist in those three areas, we ready. We go.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this: when you come off those road trips, Coach, she's gonna catch her rest and go leave it all to you. I just want to let you know. So the wings, you better enjoy your rest in the hotel.
Hey, I'm gonna sleep on the bus. I'm gonna sleep on the bus on the way home because I'm not gonna get no rest when I get in the house.
There you go, Coach. All right. Like I say, once again, we appreciate you joining us here today. Second season at Florida Memorial. Third season, excuse me. Third season at Florida Memorial. Got to update my notes there, but that's all right. So we all know that, you know, due to COVID and everything else, this has been a heck of an off season.
Yes.
Just talk about the off season in general, because you know you didn't get an opportunity to do your normal summer training, all season training, and then in turn you don't have the opportunity to do the workouts like you've traditionally done to prepare for the fall, and just kind of talk about all that in general, how it's affected your team chemistry, timing, different things that you expect to have at this point in time in the season.
Well, I think everything that you said has been affected. You know, not being able to, you know, the NAIA rules are during the summer, you can touch your kids, you could work out, you could practice, you could do whatever you want. This summer with COVID going on, no one was able to do anything. And, you know, selfishly, I was definitely upset and disappointed by not being able to do these things. But when I look across the country, and it's not just me, it's everyone is dealing with the same thing, you know, it makes you feel a little better. And we've been in the season, well, we've been able to start practicing for 2 months, I think, maybe just a little over 2 months. And in those 2 months, you know, we may have gotten 3 weeks to maybe almost a month worth of actual being able to practice because of everything going on with COVID, contact tracing, and us just trying to stay safe. I think our university, I would like to say, I can't say we're number one in the country in dealing with COVID and how we and our protocols and everything that we have in place when dealing with it, but we have a lot of protocols in place to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe, and the well-being of the student athlete is first and foremost above everything, even to the chagrin sometimes of a coach. You mean, hey, he's been sitting out for 2 weeks, he can come back to practice. No, we have a return to play protocol after you've tested positive for COVID. So the things that we're doing and we have in place is is definitely making sure that the athletes are safe. You know, I mean, I think our AT staff have been far and above, you know, everybody else and just staying on top of what's going on. They're reading every night about COVID to make sure, okay, well, what are the effects on the heart when they come back? What are the effects on the lungs? Like our training staff has been amazing. And obviously that directive is coming from the athletic department and the president who sits up top the university. So I'm proud to be here to be able to say what we're doing and trying to keep the student athletes safe as possible.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you put it that way, and you're the first person that I've talked to that's kind of put it that way about the return to play portion. Almost kind of takes me back to the concussion debate when the concussion stuff came up a few years ago, and the change in protocol with the return to play. How does it affect? Because I know you and I are pretty much in the same age category. You know, back in the day, you give them a smell of salt. Fingers I got up. All right, go ahead, let them go ahead and play. You can't do that anymore. Same thing with this COVID thing. We got to make sure that the heart is right, that the lungs are right, you know. And then once we get done to that, you got to get your conditioning back because you haven't been able to run, jump, lift, pick up a ball, do anything for however long you were quarantined.
Definitely. And we've just finished, we played a game yesterday and we played a game with no practice, you know what I mean? Because we were coming back from everything was coming back. Then we had the storm hit, you know what I mean? So we didn't get a chance to do anything. So all of those things came into play. And you know, as a coach, you want to practice, you want to, you know, but this year, you know, beyond probably any year, 2020 is the year of just taking a step back and caring about safety first. You know, I mean, wins and losses are going to come. Your conditioning is going to come. But what you do not want is for something to go wrong with a young man or a young lady on that court, on that playing surface, field, or whatever it is. So this year is only about the safety of the student athletes. So whatever they want to do, I'm all in on it.
Look, having lived in the state of Florida, you know at some point in time you're gonna have to deal with storms and have to have that evacuation plan and everything else. You prepare for that, you know, knowing that you live in the state of Florida. This is something that no matter how much you prepare for, you just can't get it right. It seems like when it comes to this COVID thing. So, last question I'm gonna have on COVID. You know, we know Florida Memorial made some headlines during the fall season. They were the only HBCU attempted to play football. Some of those headlines were not positive, and we're not going to harp on all the negativity that was associated with you guys' decision. But I do have one question that I have to get out is, what lessons were learned from the incidents and the things that happened in the fall that you think you guys will be able to apply to basketball and the winter athletics for this season?
I would say that the things that we've learned and we're still learning, everything that took place during that time, you know, I learned directly from, because I got an opportunity to watch the fall sports, you know, not be able to practice here, not be able to do this because of everything that's going on. And it helped us to prepare. It's like, okay, we're not able to do this. So what can we do? You know, and, you know, like you said, we're not going to harp on it, but the thing that was, I think, a little disappointing about everything that took place then was the misrepresentation that went with the university and how we weren't caring about the young men and women, how we were not doing everything humanly possible to keep them safe. And, you know, I've been in this business for 20 plus years, and I have friends who work at Division I's and coach here or coach, you know, the only people who I would say what our university is doing rivals is that of the NBA is the only one that was better. When I speak to my friends who coach at Division I's, They said, how many times have you tested? I think this was like a few months into the year. I was like, man, we've already tested 7 times. And they're like, well, we've only tested twice. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the university and it started with the leadership of the university had been doing so many things to try to keep these young men and women safe. And for those messages and those thoughts to come out about our university was extremely disappointing, knowing that the only thing that people care about here is the student. You know, like, hey, coach, I don't care about you practicing. I care about, you know what I mean? Our training staff, I want to start by saying I love our training staff, okay? But our training staff is almost like the NBA draft, right? The NBA draft, when it comes to that time, the NBA is looking for a reason not to take you. You know, in college, everybody's looking for a reason to take you. You know what I mean? But at that level, the stakes are so high, they're looking for a reason not to take you. And I think our training staff, with everything that they want, no one wants to have anything crazy that happens on their watch. So our training staff is looking for a reason not to have you out on the football field, basketball field, whatever court, whatever it is, right? And they're trying to make sure that the standards of this university are upheld to the highest standard, even to the point of the coach. I don't care if you need to practice. You know, if you're gonna let him play, you're gonna let him play. If you're not, you're not. But no one is going out there until they've finished all these protocols. And I know we were done with that, but I really wanted to say that because the leadership here has been done above and beyond, you know, what was mandated, you know, throughout the conference. We get tested every single Monday. You know, every single Monday we get tested, and per NAIA rules, you only really had to get tested one time.
And that's preseason.
But we were going about, and that's preseason. But every single week we play, we're going to get tested. Why? Because we want to make sure that we're safe, A, and we want to make sure we don't get anyone else sick.
All right. And unfortunately, we can sit here and talk about this COVID thing all day, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about some basketball. And
yes, sir.
But, look at how that your coach had an average season last year. You know, nothing eye-popping and spectacular, but it wasn't a one-win season either. But got a lot. You lost 9 kids off of last year's team. Before we get into this year's team, talk about some of those key players from last year that you lost.
Well, last year we lost, I think the kids that we lost, the things that they brought to the table from a physical standpoint was amazing. Our leading scorer, I think he was our leading scorer, our player of the year, our MVP, Jordan Martin, he was a senior out of Atlanta. You know, he was a guy who could give you 37 on any given night. You know, the problem was he may give you 4 on another night. So we worked on the consistency. You know what I mean? One of the issues that I had with him, and this is not a secret, he knows this, I wanted him, my biggest thing with every young man that comes into this university is when you leave here, I want you to be a better man. There's nothing more important than that to us. Before our games, I wish I had the book. We read a book in the locker room before games because what we're trying to do is help you become a better husband, father, and provider for your family. That's what it's about. And I believe if we can teach you how to win in life, basketball will become easy. You know, and Jordan Martin was a young man. I saw tremendous change in him over the course of that time. We had another young man, Caleb Derrick. He came on halfway through the season last year, and he had moments when he was spectacular. He was a guy who played with the NBA guys during the summer at the Pro-Am out here and looked amazing, you know. And what I tried to get him to understand was playing against pros in the summertime is different than playing an NAIA season. You know what I mean? Because you look, I'm playing with the pros, I'm doing great, I should be able to demolish NAIA. Well, in the summer league, it's individual defense. They're just having fun. But when you play in the NAIA season, it's team defenses, and they're loading up to stop you. So you have to be able to make the next pass, or do something to make someone else better, to in turn help you become the player that you want to be. Another guy that we left, he was a freshman, Freddie Reeves Jr. He left because he wanted to go to Division I, and he's at a Division II school somewhere. But he was a guy who you could count on to make shots. When you needed a shot made, he was a guy who you could for sure count on. From last year. And then in the middle, we had a big kid, Kyle Young, who was easily the best shot blocker, in our conference, and probably a top 10 shot blocker in the country. And we lost him. So we lost a lot of really good pieces that were able to help anchor our defense and anchor the program that we were trying to build. And they definitely took the program from one spot, and they helped push us forward to the next level.
All right. Now, let's get into some of the familiar faces, because obviously with 9 players from last year's squad not here, you got a lot of newcomers. So we want to get into some of the familiar faces first.
Okay.
Mr. Ali.
Mubashir
Ali.
Mubashir Ali.
Mubashir Ali. Now, I spent my fair share of time around college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, when you have a 7-footer and that's not playing Division I, they usually not playing Division I for 2 reasons. Either they don't have the skill or they don't have the grades.
Mm-hmm.
This does not seem like the case for this young man right here. He's a walking double-double every time he gets on the court. He's very skilled. He's not a 7-foot stiff. No. As I'm saying like that. Just talk about Mr. Ali and what can we expect from him this year?
Well, Mubashir, like as you said, is a walking double-double, right? Yesterday, he had 11 and 8. He only played like 23 minutes. And that's because, as we talked about before with COVID, I'm trying to ease him back in to being 100% where he's supposed to be. But this is a young man who has NBA aspirations. Like, his teams that are looking at him, actively looking at him because of the things that they saw him do last year, and they're expecting him to take another step forward. And he is throughout the preseason, every day in practice, he's been that young man taking his next step forward. His ability to pass, every day in practice, he's working on it, finding the open man, and he's doing things to make everyone better. And that's what we're working on. We're working on his leadership and being able to, he's 7 feet tall. So he's already the biggest thing on campus. He's the biggest thing around. So everyone wants to talk to him. And what I'm trying to get him to do is to learn, embrace the good that comes with 7 feet, but also embrace the responsibility that goes along with being, having a bullseye on your back per se, because everyone thinks that you're going to be the player of the year in the conference. So you got to go out and you got to say, okay, what do I got to do? They're loading up against me. So instead of getting, 20 points, I'm going to have, 7, 8, 9 assists to go along with what I'm doing. And now it really makes it difficult to guard you. So I've been calling him Jokic, every day in practice, because when you get a chance to see him tomorrow, you'll get a chance to see he can play at all 3 levels at this point, and I am more than excited to watch him.
Yeah, I would give you another player who reminded me of what I saw last year, especially with his face-up game. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Dirk Nowitzki.
That's what I'm talking about.
When he faced up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Couldn't quite figure out what his back to the basket game was like, but his face-up game reminded me of Dirk.
He's growing, man. He's a special young man, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Another big name that you've got returned who was a key contributor last year was Sheikh Kabe. 6'9" forward, averaged almost 8 points a game, 6 rebounds per game last year. What can we expect from him this year?
Man, he is taking his game to a whole nother level. the 8, I can't say the numbers will go up tremendously because we have so many players on the team, but you'll see it in his usage, and the plays that he's making and how much he's developed over the course of the year. And he's done it on his own with us not being able to touch him. It's just his own work ethic and desire to be great. Like, he's only been playing basketball, and he'll tell you this when he does something wrong. When he does something good, it's him. When he does something wrong, I've only been playing 6 years, coach. You know what I mean? But now when he does something great, it's all on him. And
when it's bad, I only been playing 6 years. When it's good, hey, I only been playing 6 years. That's what
Exactly,
I understand.
Exactly. So no, I'm excited I'm excited for him to take another step forward as well. Like, you're talking about two kids that I love who they are as people. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, you've been around this business a long time and you've covered a lot of different, coaches in the middle of the night, they got to look at their phone, be afraid of a call that they might get. I don't have any problems. And it starts with those two. Like, they are great people, not just basketball players.
Yeah. All right. Obviously, with the turnover that you have, you got a lot of newcomers on the squad. I'm just pull out a couple of names, and if there's anybody else you want to talk about, please talk about them. And if I get some of these names wrong, because looking down your roster, I've got to have the phonetic spelling for over half your roster. Unfortunately, and nothing wrong with it. It's just I've got to get a lot of practice in on saying some of these names.
Yeah.
Quincy Urbina.
Quincy Urbina.
Forward. Italo. Help you out with the last name, Coach.
Italo
Sikoti.
Sakati.
Uh-huh. And Corin Bradley. Corin is 6'1" guard, and Italo is a 6'6" guard. Let's start off with those three. Just kind of talk about what you expect from them.
Well, I'll start with Quincy. Quincy Urbina is one of the most explosive young men that we will have in the conference and maybe even the NAIA. He was a young man who went to San Jose State first, and then he had to go to JUCO, and then he made his way here. And when all of the lights come on, he is someone who has the potential to play at the highest level. Now, it's on him to make the decision to put the work in and put the time in to develop the way that he needs to develop. But from a physical skill point of being able to do everything, this young man, like he can fly, literally. You see him take off and you're like, goodness gracious. Like, he's special in that way. Corin is only a freshman, and it's the same for him. Like, if he was 6'3", he wouldn't be nowhere near this university. Like, I watched him. Actually, my wife was the one who pointed him out to me, and I saw it, and I just looked at this young man. He's like a poor man's Dwayne Wade. You know what I mean? Like, how hard he plays. He's willing to sacrifice his body. He's willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. So I'm extremely excited for him. And then Italo is a young man who's extremely versatile. At 6'6", he could play inside, play outside. He could defend any position 1 through 5. And he makes it extremely difficult, for you, because he's 225 pounds or so, and he's just a grown man. You know what I mean? And you can't move him. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I'm super excited for him to be able to play.
All right. You also got a player who sat out last year who's going to be coming back, looking to make a big impact. Ebenezer Abagaye.
Yep.
And also Aubrey Washington. They both missed last season due to injury. What would their return mean for you?
Well, both of them, and I'm glad that you grouped those two together because they are the toughness of this group. You know, Aubrey Washington is a young man, you can count on him. Like you can just count on him. Anything you need, count on him. You know, he's going to be there. If you need somebody to defend any position, count on him. EB, Ebenezer's the same way. You need him to defend somebody, he's going to go out there and he's going to make it extremely hard for that person to score. So I'm extremely excited about both of them. And, you know, a third into the season, I think you'll really get a chance to see their growth and their impact on this team, because a lot of people think that teams are impacted by people who can score. And as you know, you need guys who have that toughness, who will sit down and get a stop for you. You need a guy who will put his body in harm's way in order to take a charge for the team and just do anything for the team. And both of those are guys who will do the dirty work and won't complain about anything. You know, if you pass it to me, great. If you don't pass it to me, great. As long as we win, they only care about the end result, you know, and that's why I love both of them.
You said a third into the season. Sounds like the start of conference play, if I remember how the schedule works. I like how you put that there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other newcomers that we need to watch out for, Coach?
Yeah, it's actually two newcomers and then a transfer. We had Tristan Stevens. He's a transfer from Johnson and Wales, obviously right here. And because of the unfortunate, their university shutting down, unfortunately, you know, he came over and he's a young man who he brings a different type of energy. You know, he's a bit of a tweener, and I've never had that type of player. I've always wanted that tweener type of player. I wanted a guy who was a bad matchup on the perimeter as well as a bad matchup in the post. And he presents both of those things. And I'm just excited to have the opportunity to coach him because I've never had that sort of player, you know. So he brings that to our team. Terrence Clayton was a young man that came from Los Angeles, you know, and he's a kid who can score, another tough young man. You know, he takes on the challenge of defending whoever. You know, if you've hit 2 or 3 baskets and on the other team, you know, he say, hey, let me take him, coach, and I'm gonna turn his water off. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do what I need to do to make sure that he doesn't score. You know, and I think the last one is a young man named Muhammad Gilchrist from California. Lights out shooter. He's gonna be one of the best shooters in the country, you know, and he's coming back off of an injury and his confidence is starting to come back. So I'm more than excited about what he's gonna do when he gets out there as well. So we got a really good group of young men, and once we're able to put it all together, you know, you'll get a chance to see. I spoke with them at length today about becoming a team, you know, and the one thing that I'm extremely proud of about my university is that we were, you know, the only HBCU that was attempting to do something that most people shied away from, playing during the COVID. You know, no one wanted to really do it. And we were trying to do something to be the only, every other HBCU shut it down. They say, hey, we're not going to do it. Some are still not going to play this.
Some still, I've got a list of schools who've responded to my email saying, unfortunately, we're not having this season or this sport or that sport over the last couple of weeks of trying to get the basketball information in. So I agree with you on that.
So with no one wanting to play, you know, we wanted to carry the burden. We wanted to be the guys who represented HBCUs. We wanted to be these people who did something that hadn't been done. Like, I want you to think about this. The last time an HBCU won an NAIA national championship was 1977. And it was Texas Southern University.
Which is now Division I.
Which is now a Division I, exactly. And it's like, you know, what prevents us from doing these things? You know, and the one thing as African American people, you know, I think we got to continue to work on is how we interact. And it was some of the things that took place at my university. You know, it's like, hey, we got to find the best way to work together, you know, so we can all prosper, you know. And I think in certain scenarios, everyone wants to be the man. I want the praise. I want to be I was the guy who did it, or I was the guy who did that. And I told my team, I said, it doesn't say Quincy Urbina won the game. It says Florida Memorial University won the game, you know, and we got to be willing to put our selfishness on the back burner. We got to be willing to put our talents, you know, put our talents into the group and share with everybody so we can win, not I can win. And that's the biggest thing that I'm working on with this group. And I think if we're able to get this understanding of, hey, put the, you know, Magic Johnson, they said this, I didn't hear him say this, but they said that Magic Johnson, when he joined the Lakers, he stole a line from JFK. And he said, you know, it's not what the Lakers can do for me, it's what I can do for the Lakers. I think that's what we need more of. You know, it's what I can do for Florida Memorial University. You know what I mean? It's like we got to give of ourselves to make where we are better. You know, having the opportunity to be on your program, to have our university, you know, being with the spot.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Even though there's so much against us, you will see me choose to protect myself
and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a face cover. And even with my face covered, you will see me making music
and bringing light to all, no matter the time.
Join me in wearing a face covering
to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because covering your face is one small act of kindness
that has the power to bring us together.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
Once again, we're here with Florida Memorial Men's basketball head coach Ansar Alamin. Coach, a lot of Florida Memorial fans are familiar with the Sun Conference, and you know, you playing with the Sun Conference, but a lot of people from around the HBCU landscape are not familiar with the Sun Conference. So can you kind of briefly tell us about you know, Sun Conference and who are some of the other teams that basically we need to watch out for, and if you beat these teams, you're going to be in a good position to win the conference this particular year?
Definitely. I think you start with our arch rival across the street, St. Thomas. They have a new head coach over there, DP Harris, and he's done an amazing job of securing talent and bringing guys in, you know, that takes it to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? So what he's doing has been great. You know what I mean? Then you have Southeastern, who won the conference last year, and they're doing an amazing job of just coaching their guys up, you know. And you know, Coastal Georgia, we have a lot of great teams and teams that will be recognized if we hadn't combined from NAIA Division I and Division II, we probably have 4 or 5 teams who would be ranked, you know, in the top 25. And we have right now 2 or 3 teams that's right on the outside of being ranked. So I'm excited for the opportunity to play in the conference and to show who we are, and have an opportunity to go out and say, of all these amazing teams in this conference, who's at the end of the day, who's going to sit at the top of the hill, and we're aiming for that to be us, so the first part of the year, whatever's going on, but when the dust settles, the team that's going to be at the top of this league is going to be Florida Memorial University. And our kids, they all know that, and they're all prepared. So when we make a mistake, they're like, hey, that's just a mistake for the short term. We're going to learn from everything that goes wrong, and we're going to correct our mistakes. So down the stretch, this thing becomes a well-oiled machine, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Obviously, your ultimate goal this season is to be in Kansas City. And for those who are not familiar with NAIA basketball, the men's basketball tournament traditionally every year is held in Kansas City. It's probably want to say the last 60 years. I know it's been my entire lifetime that it's been held in Kansas City. But this year they've gone to a new format. There's no longer Division I and Division II for basketball. Everybody will be grouped in together. Just give us your thoughts on the new format for the basketball tournament this fall.
I love the fact that everyone is together, because before you would say, oh, well, they're in NAIA Division I, they're in NAIA Division II. And I was like, no, we taking is how they used to do the AFL and the NFL. Right? You know what I mean? They're like, nope, we're merging it together and we got the Super Bowl. So this is our Super Bowl. So it's no longer, well, I was the best in the AFL, I was the best in the NFL. Now we all come together. We're all on the same page. We all have the same amenities. We all have the same, not amenities. We all have the same resources with the amount of scholarships. So everybody's on the same page. So now it's just, you recruit yours, we lace them up, and we go out and play. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to play against the Georgetowns. I'm excited to have the opportunity to play against the Masters colleges. I'm excited to have the opportunity to play against these teams that are year after year at the top of NAIA Division I.
All right. One last question I want to ask you about your roster, Coach. Looking down your roster, most coaches, especially at HBCUs, 75% of your roster tends to come from whatever state you're located in, or the states that are neighboring the states that you're located in. You're the exact opposite. I only see 3 people from the state of Florida on your roster. And let me give you some of the places, because you got to Google this roster to see where some. We've got Maryland on here. We've got California on here. We've got Illinois on here. We've got the Bronx on here. We've got Ghana, Brazil, Finland. Coach, such diversity in your roster. Just talk about that diversity that you have in your roster. And I was incorrect. There are 4 people from the state of Florida on your roster.
Well, I'm happy for the diversity, but let me say this in total transparency, right? My assistants and I, we went to every local high school game we could last year trying to get the Florida kids. And a lot of them, it was kids that we identified were kids who were the cusp of being Division I kids or Division I kids. And my biggest sale is, we have on that same roster that you're talking about, we have 5 or 6 kids that transfer from Division I. So we're trying to build a Division I caliber team here. So once we're playing in the games, we can go play the FIUs, we can go play the Bethune-Cookmans, we can go play the whoever, FAMUs. We can go play them. Yeah. And we could be able to compete because we have the same caliber players. And that's what we're working on. But as kids, I look at, I'm from California, but the quarterback of my high school, right, was Gino Torretta.
Wow.
Right. And Gino Torretta came to Miami and won a national championship as well as a Heisman. And you look at the U and you say, well, how did they do it at the U? They kept their best home. So that was the first thing that I wanted to do. I said, okay, let's see if we can keep these young men right here. And we have to do more to raise the awareness of the university to the point, because we started this broadcast. You said, the often forgotten Florida Memorial University. So it's our job to bring the university out of the shadows and put it in the forefront. And if that starts with, having all these young men that we have from, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that, we want to, and we're hoping that we can bring more light to the university and bring us out of the shadows and bring us to the forefront. And then local kids will say, hey, I do want to go there. They made it to the national tournament last year. You know what I mean? If I go there, I can stay home and my uncles and cousins. And, I go to local high school games, and, we watched, I don't want to miss any schools. So we just watched some of the best high schools here, and you see the families that come to the game. It's the nieces and nephews and cousins, and it's a family atmosphere. And that's what we want here. You walk into it, you can feel the energy. And this is, I just got here, and I'm loving the energy that they're all having here. So that's what we want to bring here. And we want people talking about our university on a national level. And it's on me, and my coaching staff and the players here to do what we need to do to make people stand up and take notice. Because if not, we will stay in the shadows.
All right. And those 4 kids from the state of Florida are Mariah Berrien, 5'10" guard from Tampa, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Washington.
Aubrey Showtime.
Oh, excuse me. Aubrey Showtime Washington.
No. It's Murad Ali Showtime Berrien.
Oh.
He is going to be a household name.
Mr. Berrien.
Yes.
All right. I got you. I have to remember that when I get on the broadcast.
Ali Showtime. And Corin Bradley, I call him God's work.
From Gainesville, Florida.
God's work.
And
his name is God's work.
And Andrew Drugan from
Little
Hollywood, Florida. What was that?
Little Flamethrower.
All right. And we can catch all those Chris Berman nicknames that Coach Alameen has given all these players. As we here at the Black College Sports Network will have a significant number of the home games for Florida Memorial University. So definitely tune in and watch these broadcasts that we have for them. Coach, we're going to get you out of here on this one. But before I get to some of my final questions, where can Florida Memorial alumni get that virtual background that you have right there?
They have to speak to Siobhan Mansfield, our athletic director. She got it for me. She actually set it up for me on my computer, and I absolutely positively love it. So
yes,
Ms. Mansfield,
one of the better virtual backgrounds I've seen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Make sure you shout her out on her broadcast. Shout her out for this amazing virtual background.
Well, we're going to let you shout her out again right here on this interview. Shout her out one more time for me, Coach.
Ms. Mansfield, our athletic director, she gave this. She actually set it up on my computer and everything for me, that I have this virtual background and I use it for everything. So yeah. I'm extremely excited.
And she just took over as athletic director back here in the fall. That we hope that she does a tremendous job for you guys there.
She will.
Yeah. This is your opportunity to lead the fast break, Coach, like a point guard. I'm going to give the floor to you and let you make the decision and let you get off your final thoughts right here, Coach.
Okay. Well, my final thoughts have to do more with, the responsibility that we have at HBCUs. When I when I was I had an opportunity to go to 2 schools. I had South Florida and I had Texas Southern. And I was trying to make a decision which one I wanted to go to. And I watched this documentary called Black Magic. And when I watched that documentary talking about HBCUs, I said, that's where I need to be. You know, HBCUs are more important than ever right now. You know, being in a place where, and I'm not saying that people don't care about you other places. I'm just saying being in a place where everyone cares about you, everyone wants to watch you succeed. You know, we need to support our HBCUs more than ever today. So, you know, Florida Memorial, and I'm hoping I can get everybody in the Florida area to come here to our university, but wherever your local HBCU is, and if you're from California like me, find one to go to, because it will change your life, the relationships that you will have, the fun that you'll have. You know, I watch School Days. It was funny. We've had Wendell Carter has come to our university and trained, you know, and he was talking about, you know, he wished that he would have pledged when he was in college. He said, yeah, but, you know, pledging at Duke and pledging at HBCU is different. And I said, yes, it is. And that's the love that we get and we give at HBCUs, and that love is needed more than ever now.
All right, Coach. Now here's the time for you to sell your HBCU. If somebody has a check, preferably a check with a comma in it,
yes,
where can they send it to? B, if they got another 7-footer for you, you know, how do they get in touch with you? And C, if they want to follow Florida Memorial Athletics or on social media or website or whatever, where can they go find out more information about Florida Memorial?
Well, all of those things on our website. You know, if you go to FMU Athletics, you'll get a chance to see everything about donating money, everything you have to do. But if you have a really big check with a comma in it, you can talk to our staff over here. We got Mr. Strider Joseph, who's in charge of big gifts when someone wants to give a huge donation. And he's been amazing in working with people and building decks and showing why you should donate to our university. You know, the work that he's done since he's been here has been amazing. You know, obviously Miss Mansfield, who's just taken over, you know, she's getting her feet and her bearings under about everything that's entailed in this job. So she's going to be out there raising money. So raising money part, if you got a check big enough, you know, go to FMU Athletics. You can just reach out to one of those people and they'll point you in the right direction of what you need to do. Second one, if you have another 7-footer, you know, I'm hoping you can call me directly. I would love to give you my phone number, but on our website, I will give you my personal phone number for the 7-footer. But on our website, you know, and you look up my email address, you can email me and send all of those things to me. And what was the third question again?
Just where to find you guys at on social media,
on social media, we got
et cetera.
FMU. It's FMU_MBB men's basketball. You can just go to FMU Athletics on all of the social media platforms, and you can follow each and every one of us. You'll get something different from each and every one of us, and you'll enjoy it.
All right, Coach. Coach Ella Bean from Florida Memorial University men's basketball head coach. We thank you for your time, Coach, and we look forward to talking to you throughout the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
It was a monumental game for A&M and Tampa. It was a monumental game. Somebody had to lose, and thank God it was them this time.
We knew it was going to be a battle. Look at Jake Avers' record. 202 and 36, I think, some off-the-wall figures.
And nobody would play him because they didn't want to take a chance of getting beat. But the truth of it is,
over 46,000 tickets. Blacks were sitting in the east stands. Whites were sitting in the west stands. And the score wound up 34-28.
The only thing we proved that we wasn't inferior, that we were not inferior, and we were not afraid.
For one night, for 160 minutes, we was better than them.
Welcome back to another BCSN conversation. Our preseason basketball forecasting continues with Lincoln, the real Lincoln, Pennsylvania, being his head basketball coach, Corey Lowry, who is in his first season at Lincoln University. He's been coaching 22 years overall. He spent 10 of those years as a head coach on the junior college level. So good afternoon, Coach Lowry. How are you doing? How's the family? How's everything going on campus there for you?
Everything's going great, man. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity, but things are going very well. Family's healthy, so thank God for that.
All right. Now, you're in a very unique role. Obviously, COVID has impacted everybody throughout the nation. New head coach. Obviously, as a new head coach, you have your own philosophies and systems that you're bringing to Lincoln University. You've got a crop of players who will be returning to you from last year. You're going to bring in your own crop of players, but most of these players do not know your system. So we're going to talk about some of the challenges that you've had this particular year, especially when you compare it to when you've taken over programs in the past as a head coach, as a first-year head coach.
I think with the whole COVID situation, it required a lot more patience. You know, normally when you take over a position, you want to show the guys right away the type of work that they have to put in. But there were so many delays with us getting on the court. It was more conversations. So the mental part of the game was discussed, I think, a little bit more in depth than actually getting out and showing it. And I think what happens as, you know, time goes on and you're continuously having these conversations about the work it takes. You're talking about the system and you're trying to have these chalk talks. You know, the players get a little bit anxious and want to actually get on the court and start doing, along with the coaches also. The coaches get anxious. You know, you just want to get on the court and get back to some sense of normal that you're used to. So I think that was the biggest challenge of just not being able to actually do the work that you talked about right away.
All right, Coach. Talked about some of those challenges that you've had due to COVID. What about going out and recruiting, especially for this first year, has been even an additional challenge for you?
Yeah, a very big challenge with recruiting, especially when you're talking about crossing state lines, and there was different guidelines with different states. So a lot of the recruiting, again, it wasn't that personal feel. You had to do a lot over Zoom conferencing and watching a lot of film. And it's hard to get to know a player, maybe that you haven't seen, and you're just watching them in film and you don't get that in-person feel on how big is the kid, how strong is the kid, the type of competition that the student athlete is playing against. So you have to be very calculated with the amount of film that you watch, the conversations that you have with different coaches, whether it's the high school coach or the AAU coach, mentors, guys that work out with them. So you got to do a lot more intel to try to really assess the kid. So that's a very big challenge when you don't get that in-person feel to actually go and watch a kid a couple times and then know the type of competition that they're playing against.
How tough has it been for you to get down your timing and your chemistry?
Well, that's always tough. I'm teaching everyone, so all 15 guys that are on the roster, they have to learn a new system. I'm also teaching coaches that system as well. So it's like really starting everything from scratch. Whereas, other coaches that have their teams that been there a couple of years, at least you have pieces that can help you implement your system. So if you got 6 returners and you got 6 other new guys, those 6 returners are helping the coach teach their system. Whereas this right here, and especially with the whole COVID situation where we couldn't really get on the court right away, I'm teaching 15 guys, 15 new ways on how we defend, 15 new ways on the offenses that we're implementing, 15 new ways of what our philosophy is, 15 new ways of instilling your work ethic. So that's just a constant grind of it. But if you're a teacher, it's something that kind of motivates you to find new ways to reach your student athletes. So you got to hone in on your teaching skills and on your communication skills so you can get them to understand as fast as possible our way of doing things.
All right. Last year's team was 9-20, 5-10 in the conference. What do you see as some of your key challenges in flipping that record around from 9-20 to 20-9 on this season?
Yeah. Again, I think it's more just focusing on my style, my philosophy in terms of how we want to defend. I'm really a coach that really hangs my hat on the defensive end. So we've been focusing a lot on the various ways of how we're going to defend this year. We've also been focusing on how to do things the correct way. Individual development is very important. So we're focusing on just developing their overall skill set, but just going about doing things the right way on a daily basis. Just from the time that you get up in the morning to go into your classes, how you communicate with people, just your overall mindset. So what we've been focusing on is just the work, not talking much about last year, just focusing on where we're going as a team, how we're communicating. We talk all the time about having uncomfortable conversations, things that they may not want to hear, or even things that I may not want to hear and have to deal with, so we're trying to get very comfortable being uncomfortable, and right. I think it's been okay so far.
And the cover is not bare as you take this job. Got some players who've got some outstanding accomplishments coming into the season. Bernard Lightsey, your leading scorers returning from last year. Deontay Dunlop, all freshman team. Daquan Williams, CIAA Defensive Player of the Week a couple of times last year. So the cupboard is not bare. Talk about some of those key players who will be returning in the blue and orange for you, and what you're going to expect from them to step up and give you this year.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm grateful that they stuck around and actually gave me a chance. Also, a lot of times when there's a new coaching change, players use that as opportunity to look to go to greener pastures. But there's something special about Lincoln University that these student athletes love, and some of them were on the interview committee, and they kind of picked the coach that had the qualities that they were seeking. So I'm grateful in that. And when I was interviewing with them, I talked about, this is the type of coach that I am in terms of the defense and in terms of putting that work in. So they showed me right away that they want to put this work in. I think that we have some talented players here, and that they were just looking for just a little bit more structure. A coach should be a little bit more demanding on them and hold them accountable. So what I've been seeing from them, they've really shown leadership qualities right away. Daquan Williams is a kid that, he's vocal when he has to be vocal, but he's going to lead by example. Zarion Blue is very vocal. He's vocal from the time he walks into the door, from the time he leaves, and he's also putting in that extra work. And these guys are building the culture that we're looking for. We're getting up early in the morning, getting in the gym, getting their work in, getting to class on time, doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom, and then coming to work at night, ready to put in, the valuable time that's needed in order to be successful. So I'm very happy with what the returners are showing me right now.
Yeah, and for those of y'all who do not know, Daquan Williams is a walking double-double waiting to happen every time he steps on the court. Last year, he put up 12.6 points and 11.2 rebounds per game. So got a little something to work with, Coach. Just a little bit of something that to work with. But obviously, do coach, do players. Talk about some of those players that you brought in, both on the freshman level and on the transfer level, Coach.
Right. Well, we brought in a point guard. When I looked at the tape, I think that was something that was needed from last year's team, a point guard that can help direct. There was a lot of guys that can score the basketball, but they needed someone there to set the table. So we brought in Corey Williams, who was a junior college All-American. He has the ability to score, get into the paint, to defend, very, very fast with the ball. So we brought him in. Also guys that were in Jazir Noel, who was a combo forward, who was very versatile and talented, from handling the ball, from shooting the ball, from posting up. He can score various ways. He's another one that's very vocal when he needs to be, and can be very explosive. We also brought in another junior college transfer, Isaiah Miles, who's experienced. We expecting him to add some toughness to the team on terms, again, of the defense end as well. So with what we got coming back and the few pieces that we brought in, we think that we can be competitive early.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about your competition. CIAA, we all know CIAA is the premier conference when it comes to basketball for our HBCUs, and the heck with HBCUs is one of the best basketball conferences around on the Division II level.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you to pick one team in the North, one team in the South. What matchup are you looking most forward to coaching this first year? Pick one team from the North, one team from the South, if you would, please.
It's almost hard just to pick one from each, because
that's why I got to put you on the spot, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to draw the play up. You got to know who you're going to get the ball to. So I'll let you draw the play up.
But the thing about it is you got to prepare for all these teams. I don't care where they finish in the North or the South. You got to be prepared every night to play in this conference. It's almost disrespectful to say, well, I just got to focus on this team, because on any given night, anyone can beat anybody. These are some very knowledgeable coaches in this conference. They all have a passion for the school that they work for. They bring in these dogs, these athletes that can play, and every night's a dog fight. So I'm just looking forward to preparing one game at a time and taking that opponent extremely serious and try to get all the intel as possible to prepare to play these guys, because every team in this conference is very tough.
And I appreciate that, Coach. You're going to make me defend all 5 players on the court. I like how you dodged that question. Very, very good job. All right, so we'll make it a little bit lighter, but kind of along those same lines. Which campuses do you think that you're going to look forward to seeing possibly for the first time, or that you really look forward to seeing this particular year?
Well, it's
just campus in general. We're not talking about basketball, just atmosphere, campus, all that.
I've been to a lot of the campuses, but I am looking forward to go to Virginia State, because my brother is an alumni of VSU. And that's since I got this job, man, all I've been hearing about is Virginia State this, and Virginia State that. So
we're playing for bragging rights at Thanksgiving dinner.
basically. And even the pastor at my church is a Virginia State alum, so she gets on me too. So between my brother and my pastor, they're both on me about the true blue and orange.
All right, so those Trojan fans, it's going to be an interesting matchup in that household there for you, Coach. Taking a look at your schedule, I saw one particular opponent on your non-conference schedule I need to ask you about. Mm-hmm. Bluefield State, the HBCU in Pennsylvania, on the same level as you are. Talk about, excuse me.
In Virginia, Bluefield in Virginia.
Yeah, I'm talking another non-CIAA opponent, but right there, close to you.
Right.
Talk about what that matchup out of conference, another facing another HBCU. Talk about what that means to you there.
Well, it's very. I know Coach Price very well. Actually, when I was at Essex College in New Jersey, I sent one of my players to Coach Price. So I know Coach Price is someone that coaches hard. He gets on his players. He gets his players to play hard. So I just thought that would be just a good test for us right away, because I know what type of coach he is. I know how he pushes his players, and he's done a good job with that program. So, I wanted to play them right away, just to see where we are early in the season, because I know that's going to be a dogfight right away. And they play a lot of the CIAA opponents as well.
Yeah. One other non-conference matchup, looking at your schedule, is traveling to Baltimore, Maryland, play Morgan State Bears. Talk about the step up in the level of competition from the Division II level to the Division I level. And then once again, that HBCU atmosphere going into Baltimore for you guys.
For Morgan State, you mean? Morgan
Yes,
State.
I thought I said Morgan State. If I did, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, again, Morgan State is picked to finish second in the MEAC, so we're not playing any slouches. It's a good test for our guys also, just that level of play, to see can we play at that level. It's on the road. You're playing a Division I opponent, so right away, on paper, they're supposed to get that win, but what type of fight are we going to have? What type of basketball IQ are we going to use to be able to play? In terms of our off-season program, and the in-season program in the weight room, have we done enough? Can we deal with them physically? So that game is going to give us a lot of intel about where we need to go as a program. From our weight and conditioning program, our style of play. Is it a style of play that can play at a high level? So that's a very important game. That's going to give us a lot of intel about where we need to go forward in our program.
All right, Coach, I'm going to let you be point guard on this fast break. You can distribute this last question how you want to. It's just an opportunity for you to get anything off your chest that you wanted to get off, talk to your fans, talk to your alumni, anything that you want to bring out. The floor is yours, Coach.
No, I'm very happy and blessed with the opportunity that Lincoln University has given to me. Our fans are going to be very happy with the style of play that we play with. They're going to be very happy with how hard our student athletes play. And our guys have been preparing. They understand the importance of representing Lincoln the right way. And I'm just excited to get started, not only for the fans and not only for the alumni, but I'm excited for our guys, our family. It's been a long time since they've got on the court. Seasons ended last year in February and early March. So just the fact that, we're one of the schools that are playing this year, we're excited to be out there. We're blessed to be out there, and we're going to give it everything that we got to be extremely competitive in the CIAA and in the country.
All right, Coach, what can we send a check? Number one. Number two, if I got a 6'11" that can shoot and look like Kevin Durant, how do I get in touch with you? And then number three, how do we follow Lincoln basketball on social media and everywhere else that we need to follow Lincoln basketball?
Well, I'll give you my email address is clowry, LOWERY, @lincoln.edu. You can go on our LU Lions page to find out all the social media intel and, to just follow our page online and you can live stream our games as well. And we'll have all that information regarding social media, Twitter, Instagram. All that information will be on there, be available to you. But my personal email, you got that 6'11" Kevin Durant, please hit me up on my personal email.
and most importantly, if I want to put a check, especially if it's got a comment in it, what do I find that on that same website, Coach?
Yes. Yep. I'll find that on that same website. We'll have all our information there, from our email addresses to our school address, Baltimore Pike, and we will tell you where you can email that or mail that information to us.
PayPal, Cash App, it don't matter. All right, Coach, we appreciate you. Coach Corey Lowry, head men's basketball coach at the original Lincoln University, the Lincoln University Lions of Pennsylvania. Coach, we thank you for your time. I never say good luck on the season, but I'm going to tell you to continue to work hard. And if you continue to work hard, good things will happen to you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Take care. Hail Lincoln.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Got another conversation, preseason basketball conversation with a head coach of one of our HBCUs. This time, we're going to look at the women's side of the game. Joining us today from the original Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, the Lady Lions, head coach Daryl Mosley. Daryl is in his 6th season with Lincoln. He's got 81 wins in those 6 seasons. So, Coach Mosley, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
All right, how's everything going on campus? You know, especially dealing with the COVID. How's the family? Go ahead and just give us a little bit of update what's going on up there in Pennsylvania besides cold weather coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, the family is doing great. Everybody's doing fine. My parents just bought a new home in Delaware, so they'll be closing and moving here soon in December. So I'm happy for them. Always engaged, you know, with them not being too far away from me, being able to get out and support me and my program. Far as here on campus, everything's been pretty good. You know, we didn't bring all students back. Just freshman students, international nursing, and then, you know, certain sports, you know, men and women's basketball. So the classes are ending next week. So all students will be going home, and then men and women's basketball will remain on campus to get ready for a season. You know, so we haven't had any cases or anything. Everybody's been tight knit, you know, staying in a bubble. You know, it's been good far as just being able to house our teams together. Normally, in a regular school year, everybody's dispersed around campus, but with it being COVID and not a lot of students on campus, we've been able to keep all our student athletes together in certain dorms, and they kind of like, you know, in their own little bubble, and they can, you know, lift weights together, eat lunch and dinner together, and come and practice together. So it's been good on that aspect, but, you know, it's just been kind of empty on campus. Which, you know, you're really just taking classes online and coming to the gym and getting your weights in and your practice time in and staying after to get extra shots up. So that's been the new norm for us, and just trying to keep the students engaged and keep them upbeat with the times right now. But, you know, just getting them looking forward to the season coming up.
What type of adjustments have you had to make versus your normal routine? Because obviously weren't able to do summer workouts due to COVID. The fall routine has changed. Probably, I don't know if you guys are able to work out in the traditional groups or type of adjustments that you've had to make. But you kind of share some of those adjustments you've had to make as far as getting into your routine to prepare for this season?
Well, me as a coach, I typically like to do a lot of things off campus before we even get started. I'm big on family and team bonding. So when you bring in a new core, whether it's transfers, freshmen, I like for the team to get acclimated with each other, where we get out in the community, do some community service, have some fun with each other, go out and just, have some bowling, laser tag, just, movie night, game night, things of that nature, where they get a chance to get a feel and know each other outside of basketball. We haven't been able to do that this year because, they just don't want the students out in the community, out in the public, with that chance of bringing COVID back to the university. So just strategically this year, trying to do things that we can be creative here on campus. We had like a movie night. We'd had like a lip sync battle night where we just select a few songs and we perform in front of each other, or, just trying to watch, little inspiring videos and just do that to be creative here on campus. But out of the new norm, we had to start off preseason in groups of 3 or 4. We had to do that for almost 4 weeks, where we couldn't have the full unit together because of the new regulations and rules. You couldn't have more than 10 people in the weight room or in the gym at the same time. So 7 players, 3 coaches doing an hour practice session, and you got to run the whole practice back again and bring the other 7 in. So it's been rough, for the first 4 weeks, but that's what's part of the requirement and acclimation this year. And so we had to get accustomed to that. In the weight room, they had to lift the same way, 6 or 7 in the weight room at a time. And then the next group would have to come in. So we got through that phase where we got through the first 4 weeks of acclimation in groups, where we had 0 negative tests. We had no positive tests at that time. So once you show the results of no negative tests, and then we were able to bring everybody together for weightlifting and practices now. With trying to keep a mask on, and weights in gym as much as possible.
Now, you bring up something interesting. And being a former basketball coach, I've got to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you scrimmage when you only got 7 players allowed to be in a workout at the same time? Because you and I both know there are certain drills that you run based upon having numbers of players, certain full court drills, certain half court drills, because you're able to get those players in and out. Obviously, you can't scrimmage with 7. So how are you able to do that, number one? And then number two, that not so much as chemistry, but the timing that you need to play this game. How are you able to do that? Or do you see that as a possible early season challenge? That's something that you may have to, as you go through the non-conference portion of your season, try to just have to deal with.
Right. You absolutely hit it right on the nose. It's going to be tough this year without any scrimmages or exhibitions. You're just going right into the season. And like I mentioned earlier, we had to only practice with 7. So even with that, not even having a full team in the gym to be able to have, offense versus defense. More so, we try to be strategical as coaches and try to have 7 in each position, where I might have a point guard, 2 wings, a forward, and a post in that first 7. And then you have the same in the second group, whereas now you're getting sets in at least, or you're getting terminology of defensive shell, where you're pretty much still going to be having that rotation. Coaches play the perimeter and passing, where you're just still structuring shell, defense, foot movement, and then you're running it again for the second unit. So now that we're all together, is just pretty much trying to make practices game situational, where we're practicing routine all week, and then we're trying to have an inter squad scrimmage on Saturdays, where now I'm developing my assistant coaches, where I have them step up, and one assistant coach one team, the other coaches another team, and I go in the bleachers and evaluate both sides, take notes while we're recording practice as well, where we can bring them in and show what we need them to see, and I can critique, things, or after each quarter, I come on the court and critique both teams on what we need to improve on going into the next quarter. So that's how we've been having to do things, and it ain't gonna get no easier for us, especially with the schedule I put together this year. I threw my unit right in the fire. So we have 4 Division I games, opening up with George Washington, and the week after we got Syracuse, and then we playing St. Joe's, and then we got Delaware State. So this is the first that this has happened since I've been here, but it's just kind of unheard of for a Division II program to play as many Division I's. And, I was all full of challenge. In order to be the best, you got to play and coach against some of the best. And so that's what I wanted to do this year. with some of the success we've been having in the past, just go ahead and challenge my unit early in the year and try to get prepared for conference play.
All right, Coach. Finished 23-6 last year. A disappointing 23-6. And it's hard to say disappointing when you have a 20-win season. But unfortunately, you were on the outside looking in to the national tournament.
Absolutely.
With last season. Of course, last season's team, couple key players that were lost off of last season's team, Kwanzaa Burry, Deasia Young, Kenzie Spencer, Alicia Machado. So, talk about the disappointment of not getting to the big dance when COVID hit last year. And then number two, how much those players that I mentioned, other players that you've lost to graduation, natural matriculation, or whatever, how much they're going to be missed for this upcoming season?
Okay. Well, it definitely stung last year after we got eliminated. We definitely set a lot of goals and standards for the season. I wouldn't say it was a complete letdown because we accomplished a lot of firsts last year. First time being regionally ranked in school history, first time being nationally ranked in school history. Me receiving Coach of the Year, also having Player of the Year, who went on to be an All-American and make Sports Illustrated. So we had some good things accomplished last year, but we definitely wanted to win the whole tournament, CIAA, and get an at-large bid. But we just used to not really getting the respect. So that's how we approach everything. Nothing's going to be given to us. We got to earn everything. Even with the conference divisional title, we felt like we were 6-2. We should have been crowned the Northern champs. And then we was ruled that, Virginia Union had a better cross-divisional record when, that's never been the case. You play in the North, you should be the Northern champ, So we beat them by 30. They beat us by 15. We had the same record. We should be the Northern champs. But, it was a ruling made at the last minute. We just had to go along with it. And then even with the seeding to the national tournament, we were going 23-6. We had two teams that we had better records than, but they still get an at-large bid, So it was kind of frustrating to my unit, my team, that, we had to explain and just say, look, it's not our time. We're not there yet. We had to continue to work. And so, with the expectation for this season and finishing out the year, Kwanzaa Mary and Deasia Young, who was pretty much our go-to players, were banged up at the end of the year. Everybody knows you got to have your horses on the court. And Kwanzaa Mary was only about 70%, and Deasia Young was only about 60%. And so other teams knew it. I was trying to strategically rest them at the end of the year, but each game still being important for seeding and still having able to win the Northern Division. So trying to play them spot minutes here and there and let them close out games. But other teams knew, and they approached them hard, they attacked them hard, they blitzed them hard on, hedges and screens of that nature. But just in the tournament, they were all bandaged up, kinesio tape, all over their bodies. And Deasia had knee problems. Kwanzaa had Achilles injury and ankle, where she didn't even have the lift and, scoring capability because of her Achilles heel. So we still had our chances to win, in spite they weren't healthy. We missed a lot of layups and free throws, still to lose by 4. So you can't do nothing but just get prepared, get over it, and continue to grind and fight. But also still praise those who are part of last year's team of the accomplishments we made, because now they're still in the history books, looking forward.
All right. Now let's transition to 2020, 2021. A couple of key players, Brianna Brown, who will be back, Joy Morton, Miss Patterson. So talk about those, what they bring to your team, and then anybody else who I left off of that short list that I put out.
Yeah, so that's a good core we have coming back, with Bree Brown, one of the top scorers off of last year's team and shooting ability. We're looking forward her to lead this year and step up and have a bigger scoring role for us. Joy Morton is probably our most versatile player who can play the 1 through 5. So she brings us energy, whether it's off the bench or starting. She can post people up. She can beat people off the dribble. She can stretch the floor. So It's good to have somebody like Joy in our team because she just creates all types of mismatches and intangibles on the floor. Scadasia Patterson, she was a big-time recruit for us last year, where we felt like she didn't really have the season that we expected. So she has a little chip on her shoulder this year, ready to show what she left out last year. But we also bring in a lot of firepower, losing, like you said, Machado, Mackenzie Spencer, Deasia Young, and Kwanzaa Brown, who's Player of the Year. We had to reload quickly and bring in some impact right away. And so we went the transfer route. Bring in 4 Division I transfers who's going to come in and play substantial minutes. We had a couple D2 transfers. That's going to be athletic, that's going to be able to run the floor and to defend. I'm a defensive-minded coach, and so it's going to start on the defensive end. We're going to get steals. We're going to be up-tempo and try to get out in transition. Offensively, right now, we're still evaluating to see where those points are going to come from. I know we're going to score on defense, but, still in the half-court set. And offensively, you need people to step up and score. And it ain't going to be like last year where we had Kwanzaa Mary that could just take over a game. I feel like this year is going to be a little bit more collectively where we might have 4 or 5 people averaging double figures and we score and be spread out that way. But it's definitely going to start on the defensive end where we create offense from steals and getting to the free throw line. But we're still working on who's going to be that primary player who can score the ball and who wants the ball at the end of the game.
Yeah, and you kind of led into my next question. I noticed you got a lot of transfers that'll be coming in from other universities. Pretty sure you got some freshmen in that crop also. Talk about some of those players where we're going to see them at on the court, because a lot of obviously the fans haven't seen Lincoln play, haven't seen any scrimmages or anything like that. So that whether they're going to be wings, whether they're going to be posts, just kind of talk about all this new blood we're going to see in the blue and orange.
Okay, so we have Chriselle Gordy, Division II transfer, coming in, and Gina Witherspoon, another Division II transfer. Both athletic, both can run the floor extremely well, very quick and versatile defensively. Both can score it on the inside. Gina's more of a stretch 4 who can shoot the ball from the outside and put the ball on the ground. Gordy is a big-time rebounder, shot blocker, and can run the floor and finish on the inside. Brung in Jade Young from Philadelphia, so in-state kid. That was a Division I transfer from Hartford. She's a big guard, lefty, about 5'9.5", can play the point, but also can play some wing as well. But grooming her at the point, she played point at Hartford. She's a kid that can see the floor extremely well, working on her shot consistently, but just a playmaker, drawing defense and diming it off to the shooters or the posts. We have Brianna Richardson, who was at St. Peter's, was on the all-rookie team there. Her freshman year, she's a kid that can more of a combo, can play on the point or off the ball, can shoot the 3, can get to the basket. Felina Holmes, post player that was at St. Peter's as well. So they came together looking for more of an inside presence from her, just, changing shots, rebounding, putbacks, and just being that glue on the inside. And then I'm missing one here. Who I'm missing? It ain't even coming to me right now. Oh, we have
Witherspoon.
Gina Witherspoon. Then we have Kenya Pollock that was at
okay.
Men. She's come highly recommended, coming off an injury. So we still waiting for her to get in tip-top shape, but once we signed her, I got a lot of phone calls and emails and texts saying, man, how'd you pull that off? This kid can flat out play. And so especially our pipeline has been New York, New Jersey. So I got a lot of just fans and supporters in those areas just that, said this kid is highly recommended. And we're starting to see spurts and practices now that she's getting in shape. She's coming off a tailbone injury. And so once she gets in shape, I think she can be somebody that can score the ball for us. She's been showing streaks and flashes in practice. We're really just trying to get everybody to step it up on the defensive end, just getting them to buy into my mindset of this is how we're going to approach every game. And I believe if you take care of the defensive end, the offense is going to come. So just getting them to buy into defense first, and then, the offense is going to come, whether it's through steals, transition, and then that's when you become a playmaker once you get yourself going on the defensive end.
All right. CIAA, traditionally the best basketball conference when it comes to the HBCUs. Although on the Division II level, the SIAC has stepped up its game, and those few times when you do play crossovers, has given you guys a run for your money. But we're going to stick with the CIAA. You're in the Northern Division. What team, I guess, I don't want to say scares you the most, but what team probably do you feel is going to be the most competitive for you? Because obviously every coach thinks they're going to win their half of the conference. So what team do you suggest that we as a lay fan need to watch out for besides Lincoln University on the northern half?
On the northern side, and this just to CIAA in general, we got some very good coaches, and everybody does a very good job bringing in talent, and we all get up to play each other. There's really no night off in the CIAA, and I tell my kids that all the time. Far as the North, the powerhouse has been Virginia Union, and I know Coach Anne-Marie Gilbert, who done a phenomenal job there, just left and, went Division I. But that was always my primary matchup. I stayed up at night. I couldn't sleep, knowing we had Virginia Union coming up. So as a coach, you try not to look ahead. You might got Elizabeth City on Monday and Union on Thursday, and you already watching film that week ahead on Virginia Union. So that was the team that, made me a better coach, that got my team up to play. We had our battles, so I was able to upset them a couple of times while they were nationally ranked. And then she always had my number when we come to their place. And so we have a high respect for each other. We still talk to this day, even though she's transitioned on. But when she would get prepared for us, she would tell her team the same. It's something about coming up to playing you at Lincoln. You get your team up to play against me. But we also have the same type of system. We play the same, and we like the same type of kids. Kids I bring on a visit, and I'm like, what else you have on the table? And Virginia Union, that'd be it. And I'm like, oh, why is she finding out about you? You from New York or you from Connecticut? How is she find out about you? And it was just vice versa. She called me saying, you on my same kid. And so it basically come down to getting them up on campus, getting the visit, and may the best team wins. And so Virginia Union has been the powerhouse, of the CIAA in whole, but especially in the North. And then Bowie State, Sade Swan does a phenomenal job teaching defense. So you might have the best scorers in the world, and they just target defense. They're going to box out. They're going to be disciplined. So that's always a game you got to have some counters and watch a lot of film on, because they like to play that matchup zone. They're not going to come out of it. They want to play a slow tempo game. So if you're not clicking offensively, it's going to be a long night, because they're going to stall the ball. They're not looking to score quick in transition. So they're a very disciplined team. One of the top 2 teams or 3 teams in the country in defense. So you got to have some people that can score on them, attack that defense, that zone, and you got to make free throws against them, or it's going to be a long night. So it's some good coaching in the league that does a phenomenal job recruiting and just getting their teams ready to play.
Now we're going to flip it out to the South. That one team from the southern half of the conference that just gives you nightmares, gives you fits every year.
Well, it's been Fayetteville State lately. Coach Serena has done a phenomenal job. I feel like that's one of the better jobs in the league as far as just facility and resources. So she's going to get high-level players in their transfers. When you get them on campus, they got the, enormous gem that it sells itself, So having resources is very important, being able to seal the deal when kids get on campus for scholarships. But then when you got the facilities to match, it's a perfect situation. So she's doing a good job getting kids in there, getting them interested, getting them on visits. And Johnson C. Smith has been another school that's getting high-level players in there. So when it comes to the South, I would say, Fayetteville State and Johnson C. Smith are the premier top 2. And then here lately, Winston-Salem has been blossoming. That's the team that eliminated us out of the tournament. Coach has been doing a phenomenal job getting players in there. And then, just that game day atmosphere down at Winston, they bring a kid on a visit and they get to see that environment. What kid wouldn't want to play in front of that? So Winston-Salem has been peaking these last 2 years. And they kind of loaded this year. There was some kids we were recruiting that she ended up landing. So Winston definitely should be a team that makes some noise this year with the recruits that they brought in.
All right. Well, once again, we're talking with Lincoln, Pennsylvania Lions, Lady Lions head coach Daryl Bosey. And we're going to get ready to get you out of here on these last couple of questions. Like to have a little bit of fun, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I am going to ask you a couple of intriguing questions. Number one, outside of coming to your gym, what gym can I go to and get the best atmosphere for a basketball game in the conference?
Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem. All right. Next question. Visit all these other beautiful HBCU campuses. Outside of your campus, what campus do you enjoy visiting? Not talking about basketball, just in general. What campus do you enjoy visiting on the road trips?
I would have to say I like Fayetteville State's campus and Virginia State. Virginia State has nice facilities. And then when you get inside that arena, it's just like, wow, how can you compete against this? So those are two I actually walk around and try to just get notes, mental notes, and try to bring it back, to my university. Some of the things we've seen, I'm like, man, we got to step it up. This is what they got at these other schools. And so Fayetteville State and Virginia State have very beautiful campuses.
All right. And last question. You guys have a pretty decent home court advantage there. You've always got a good home record. What do you think gives you guys such a distinct home court advantage?
Well, I think that's something that, I myself took pride in just trying to create. I was on the men's side here as well for 5 years, and it was a rough start, just slow, just trying to build the culture around here where the students would just get up and walk out, whether you winning at the end of games or you losing. It was just something about the generation that, 2 minutes left, win or losing, they getting up, walking out. And so it's to the point where we just started cultivating relationships with the student, the SAC committee, the student government committee. We start going to go eat in the cafeteria with the students and not in the faculty and staff lounge, and just show more face, around campus where, we're actually calling them over in the cafeteria saying, we have a game tonight. I need you guys there. Just talking with the band students, and they're engaging students to stay at games. And we had to start winning. We honestly had to start winning. So once I transitioned over to the women's side, I continued to go in the cafeteria. I continued to show up at, student events on campus, and we letting them know that we're visible on campus, but we need you guys visible at our games. We end up having a DJ now come to our games, of which all the students love to hear music and just hear stuff at halftime and, perform at halftime. We're starting to do more crowd engagement things and giveaways at halftime. But I feel like the winning helped cure some of that, because now the students have something to have pride and look forward to. And not walk out. We're starting to do the alma mater after games. And so it's just tradition that we're trying to bring. And then I had to go sit down with, the SGA president and say, these are some of our concerns. We need the students to stay, because when we go on the road, we got an environment that we got to face the band. We got to face the crowd. They got signs up, and you got
to play the referees.
And the referees. And so that's why I said we have to create that same environment here, where now the band and the SAC and student government orchestrated a 6-man club where it's about 60, 80 students that sit in one section. They heckle the other team. They sit next to the band. We transitioned our band next to the opposing team bench. So we have to create that same atmosphere here. And so we're just really cultivating the relationship on campus with the students and giving them something to look forward to. And we doing better promotion here on campus, where we getting the information out in Student Wire or putting campus social media out, where in the past, some of the students didn't even know about the game, so now we're branding it, putting it out on websites, putting it out on social media where they see it, and now it gives them something to do. So it's the Lions Den. You can't come into the Lions Den and get a win. And so phenomenal job at home this past year, going 14-1. Of course, I'd have loved to, go perfect, but, that still was a record we broke last year, 14-1, best record in school history.
All right. Coach, using basketball lingo, I'm going to let you freelance on this play right here. Anything that you want to get off your chest, want to say to your fans, to your supporters, anything, the floor is yours. You get to talk for a couple of minutes.
Really just, stay tuned. We've been working extremely hard in these rough times right now. Really, it's tough. No fans this year, but we ask them, everybody still support by logging on and watching us live and, just showing your support on the Lincoln Athletic page. We're going to continue to promote and brand our program. We're playing a high-level schedule this year. So continue to support, Lincoln Athletics. Give back, if you can. And we're just looking to get through this year, put out a good product for you guys, and hopefully this COVID thing ends soon and we can get everybody back on campus. So Just continue to, pray for us and have traveling mercies. And we're going to continue to do our thing out here at Lincoln.
You bet you give back. All right, so I need you to tell everybody where to send that check, and please make sure that check. Well, I'm not gonna say please make sure it has a comma in it, but I'm pretty sure a coach would like for that check to have a comma in there somewhere to help out his programs. In addition to telling them where they can send their financial contributions to support Lincoln Athletics, tell them where we can follow you at on social media. And of course, if I got about a 6'4", 6'5" girl that I need to send to you, where can I send that information to you also, Coach?
Oh, absolutely. So if you want to donate or send a check, definitely make it out to Lincoln Athletics, attention to Lincoln Women's Basketball. Far as email, you can reach me at dmosley, DMOSLEY at lincoln.edu. Far as Twitter and Instagram, I'm DMOSLU, DMOSELU on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, Coach. We appreciate your time. I don't say good luck on the season. I think luck is for those who don't practice hard and need the ball to bounce their way in order to execute. Continue to work hard is what I would tell you to, and good things will happen to you, Coach.
Absolutely. I greatly appreciate this time. Continue to do what you're doing as well, and you stay safe as well.
All right, we appreciate you, Coach. And for Coach Darrell Mosley of Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, this is AD Drew with another BCSN Conversation. We thank you, and we'll be back in just a moment.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Welcome back to another BCSN Conversation. Joining us today with our basketball preview is Coach Byron Smith of Prairie View A&M Panthers. Last season, the men had a very, very impressive season. They won the regular season title. Unfortunately, due to that famous thing called COVID, they did not get an opportunity to finish off and do the daily double, as I call it, by winning the regular season and the conference title. So first of all, Coach, how you doing? How's the family? How's everything going on campus with all this COVID-19 stuff going on? Let's start with that.
All is well, personally, with family. Everybody's safe and healthy. And here on campus, we're steady and just taking it one day at a time. And I think every college coach in the country in all sports are probably just doing that. But we're steady right now, solid, and just just waiting to see how this deal is going to play out with our season.
All right. What kind of adjustments have you had to make given the new protocols due to COVID? A lot of kids weren't able to work out as a group during the summer. Probably some adjustments during your fall workout. So just briefly kind of talk about some of those adjustments that you had to make coming into this season.
Major adjustments, because we had no spring workouts, no summer workouts. So we brought in 8 or 9 new players. And, really just now getting to know them You know, I mean, obviously we, you know, recruited them here. We scouted them and saw film and things like that and watched some of them, you know, play in person. But, you know, obviously there's a transition when you're leaving high school and coming to college and leaving junior college and coming to Division I. So it's been a major adjustment. You know, obviously we shut down once in a positive test here about a month ago. So we got our season, our practice got started with that, and we got interrupted. So, so it's been some major adjustments. Just, you know, obviously we're stressing to the kids to, you know, safety first, health and safety first, and just kind of getting used to, you know, the cleanliness, you know, wiping things down, wiping balls down, wiping baskets down. You know, our guys are in the weight room, you know, wiping, you know, down the weights when they get done and things like that, you know, washing their hands and, obviously not sharing water bottles, not sharing towels and things like that. So, you know, it's been some adjustments, you know, major adjustments. I think the biggest thing is just not having the time on the court with the players, you know, as much as we normally would in a normal situation. But again, I think there's something that all collegiate basketball programs and college coaches are kind of dealing with the same issue. So, hey, you know, I don't think anyone is really ahead of anyone. I think we're all probably right there. Kind of in the same boat, just making major adjustments, as you said. But again, you know, we're thankful. We have life. You know, we have our health, we have our strength. So a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be positive about, and we're just going to continue to move forward in hopes of having a season.
All right. Last year you finished 19-13, 14-4 in the conference. Like I say, you were regular season conference champions, but you've lost a couple of key players. Devontae Patterson, Antoine Lister today, but a couple of them, and a couple more than that. Just kind of talk about last season and some of those players that you lost from last season due to graduation, transfer, life, as I call it.
I think every program goes through it. You know, you recruit very, very good players. They come in, they have a great impact for you, but you know, unfortunately, you have them either 4 years or 2 years, sometimes 1 year. But I think, you know, obviously, you know, recruiting being the lifeline of any program, smart coaches, you know, obviously, you know, they establish a pretty strong recruiting base. So when you lose very, very good ones, you know, bring in good ones. So I mean, I think if everybody could do it like Nick Saban at Alabama in football, you know, when one goes to the NFL, it's one waiting in the wings to play that may be just as good, if not better, than that first round draft pick. So not saying that we've got those type of players. Devontae Patterson obviously was player of the year in the league. I thought he was the best player in the league for the 2 years that he was here. Definitely going to be hard to replace. Gerard Andrus is another first team all-conference guy. That was kind of the glue to our team, the backbone to our team, our emotional, spiritual leader. With his effort and his enthusiasm and just his mindset. So, and obviously you mentioned Antoine Lister. He just was a rock solid young man. It's probably one of the classiest young men on and off the court that I've had the privilege to be the coach. So losing those guys definitely is a big loss. We're happy that they moved on. And, you know, Antoine is, you know, playing professionally overseas. Devontae's waiting for the G League stuff to get going. Gerard is back finishing his degree, and he'll move on and try to have a career overseas. So we're happy that they were here and did a nice job and doing well in life right now. But I'm pretty pleased with some of the new guys that we got coming in. Obviously, had a lot of time to work with them as much as we would like. But we're really excited about the impact that we feel that they can have. So I think we're in pretty good shape recruiting-wise. We just got to get to the season, just kind of see how those guys do when they get out there on the floor when the ball goes up here on November 25th.
You guys have a distinct home court advantage. 12-0 at home last year, 27-game home winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
But the question of the day: will there be fans there to help you with that home court advantage? Because the fans are probably the biggest sixth man that any basketball team can have. And what would that? Well, first of all, let me ask you: will there be fans this year?
To my understanding, I think there will be. We get to that point. Obviously limited numbers of fans and students and things like that. And obviously, that I think the fans do provide a great six-man advantage, if you will. And we really enjoy our home crowd because they get in there, they're really loud and they really support. And I think we've given them reason to be loud and to support because we have played pretty good basketball at home and winning 27, in a row, having the second longest home winning streak in the nation behind Gonzaga. I think that speaks volumes about where we've come as a program. And just, we're just praying to God that we can, get on the other side of this pandemic and be able to have a consistent season and get to conference play where we can try to get back in there and defend our home court because we definitely enjoy playing here in the Baby Dome. It's a really exciting place for us.
What gives you guys such a distinct home court advantage? I mean, what is it? Because, everybody plays 12, 15 games at home. We know HBCUs don't play a half and half schedule like some of the other institutions, but, you guys get on campus, and for some reason, you guys just perform better. What gives you that advantage?
I think it's something in the water that we serve the visiting team when they come in and we turn the temperature up really, really high, make it really uncomfortable. No, I just think that we just practice so hard here. I mean, it's just like it's like home. It's like your room. You just feel very comfortable in your own home, in your own room. And, we really get after it here. And obviously we get really, really good support. I just think it's a comfort. There's a comfort level that we feel really good to be at home. And, like I said, our practices are so intense and things like that. And I just think that they kind of get used to it and get used to being in that particular environment. And it's just work for us. And obviously we try to play hard every place that we go, every arena that we visit. But home has been special for us. And we want to try to continue that trend and continue to defend home court and have an advantage when teams come in here to the Baby Dome to play the Panthers.
I'm going to throw my 2 cents in, having been a former assistant college coach. I think a little bit has to do with they don't want to go to class and listen to their classmates talk about them when they get beat at home. That's just my 2 cents, though.
Yeah, I think that's probably 25 cents worth. I think I agree with that. But again, it's worked. We really, really, obviously, you always want to defend home. You want to give your fans your support. Something to feel good about. So we take pride in playing at home. And we do everywhere we go, but it's just something about this place. It's a special place. Prairie View is a special place to be, great support here on campus. And it's just work for us. And we're just hopeful that it'll continue.
Last question before we preview this year. Talk about that, I guess, that empty feeling that you probably had from last year by not actually getting to finish off the SWAC championship and to see if you can make it to the NCAA and then possibly making some noise in the NCAA tournament. Because I know that has to be a big empty feeling, especially for those ones that those seniors that have moved on. And even for you as a coach, you're back. You've got a lot of your players back, but there were 2 teams, even if you get everybody back, the same team, there were 2 teams that are exactly alike. So talk about that empty feeling, Coach.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely disappointing. We just had a great group across the board. But, we had a really special group of seniors who worked hard every day that they were here. And obviously we had a pretty fantastic year in 18-19 and winning the conference regular season and going on to winning the conference tournament and going to the NCAA tournament. And we felt like we had a little bit more to give, and we kind of came up short that first year and lost in the play-in game against Fairleigh Dickinson. So obviously returning our main core of guys for 19-20 and then having a really, really solid conference and winning it again. And I felt, even though we dropped our final 2 games of the regular season on the road at Alcorn and Southern, I felt like we were getting ready to get back to playing the way that we had played most of the conference season. We're getting ready to start playing our best basketball. I think a lot of people felt Southern, who I think they had 11 or 12 game winning streak to close out the season. They finished really strong. A lot of people felt that they, may be able to get in and, make some noise in the conference tournament, have a chance to win it. But I just felt that we were the favorite. I felt that we were going to defend it and have a great chance to win it again. And like you say, get in the NCAA tournament once again and not only get to, wherever they were going to send us in the play-in game with Dayton, in Dayton or wherever, I felt like we, had enough experience, from learning from the year before. And it's great to get there, but you got to get there and you got to move forward and you got to finish the job. I felt that we had the kind of team, the experience and the leadership and the toughness to be able to get there and go a little further in the tournament. So definitely was disappointing. You just one day you get a phone call saying, hey, the season's over, and you're looking at your seniors, and obviously they're visibly shaken and upset and disappointed. You just feel so bad for them because you wanted them to have another opportunity to put that uniform on and go out and represent Prairie View. As a coach, obviously we get a chance to come back and do it again. So probably less disappointing for our coaching staff, just with those seniors that may never get a chance to play competitive basketball again. You really felt bad about them. I was really excited to see just how far they could have gone and just how much the success that they could have attained, had we had a chance to finish out the season. So definitely disappointed. Shared some tears with our seniors and just felt really bad for them. Just a tough time. But hey, like I said, a lot of memories we created. Everybody's in a good place right now, good space, but it's always going to be that what if we could have played. And I think we'll carry that probably for the rest of our lives, and these young men as they move on into becoming young men and moving on with their lives. I think it'll be definitely something we'll think about for years to come.
All right. After the success you've had for the last 3 to 4 years, you're coming into the season, a lot of eyes are on the Panthers, a lot of high expectations. Those expectations on the court will be led by players such as Faith Williams and Linnell Henry. Talk about them, talk about some of your other key players that you have coming back. We'll get into the newcomers in a moment, but just some of those key players that you have that we're familiar with.
Well, Linnell Henry obviously is a key staple. He's a really versatile big man, 6'7", 6'8", that played a really key role for us early in the non-conference last year. And then once we got in the conference, and he kind of play kind of declined a little bit. I think he started struggling with his confidence. We just went to a different lineup when we got in the conference, so he didn't have as big of an impact. But obviously having him back and having the experience of playing 30+ games last year definitely gives him an advantage this year, and coming back in with the experience and knowing what we expect and knowing what to do. So that's key, having him back. Faith Williams is a young man that was a walk-on here for the first 2 years. Now he's a scholarship guy. He ended up starting the last 2 games of the season for us last year. One of the toughest players I've coached. Brings it every day. Great attitude, all about the team, selfless, very coachable young man. I mean, classy young man. So really glad that he's back, and he's our emotional leader. As he goes, we'll go, and we'll play him in different positions. He'll play some point. He'll play off the ball a little bit. He plays bigger than what his 6'2" size will allow him to, just in terms of his size. He plays a lot bigger. So those 2 guys will be key. Dwayne Cox is another guard that came off the bench last year. That's really one of the most athletic kids in our conference. One of the better defenders, on-ball defenders that I think that we may have in our game. He's just so quick and athletic and explosive. So he's back. Jock Hughes is a young man that was a redshirt for us last year, sat out, but he was at a lot of our practices. So I think that he's going to be able to add, some help, maybe in a starting role, maybe coming off the bench. And Jawan Daniels is a young man that redshirted for us last year that just rejoined the team here maybe a week or so ago, 6'7" forward that plays really hard and a lot of toughness. So we've got, 4 or 5 guys that were here last year. The new guys coming in, I mean, obviously, where do you start? You got, Cam Mack that was obviously waiting to hopefully get a waiver for him to be able to play. Hardship waiver. He transferred in from Nebraska. Was an all Big Ten, I think, 3rd team in Nebraska last year, which is pretty impressive. And he's a dynamite player. We're hopeful that he can get a waiver to be able to play right away, because it definitely gives us a chance to be really solid. Jeremiah Gambrell is a 6'1" transfer from Western Kentucky. That can really score the basketball. He's got 3 years of eligibility. He's a Houston kid, so we're really excited about his impact and what he can do. Damari Parrish is a graduate transfer from Eastern Michigan with a lot of experience and kind of the elder statesman of the group. That's a really good point guard and really smart, kind of a coach out on the floor. So really excited about him. Bo Gejewel, that's a transfer from Detroit, a 6'8", kind of multi-dimensional 3-4 player that can really shoot the basketball, can drive it, very athletic, great body. So it's we've got some guys that are coming in here that we feel really good about and we're excited about. And we're just hopeful that we can get to the season and get those guys out there and just see the impact that we feel that they can have. But I think we got a solid group, also good players. We definitely recruited well. And I think we got a chance to be really solid here in 2020-21.
One thing I noticed when looking over your roster, you've got a lot of what I like to call homegrown talent. You got a lot of talent from the state of Texas. Did a couple of players from next door in Mississippi. What's the key to that? What does that mean? What kind of atmosphere does that bring to your team having all those local guys on your roster?
I think one thing, it saves us a bunch of money in recruiting, so we don't have to travel too far. But no, I mean, I don't know, something about, Southern kids, not to be disrespectful to any other part of the country. I just think those kids are tough. I mean, I think kids out of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, that we pretty much get our core of our players are from those 3 states, are just tough. They're just really tough. And they've been raised right, come from good backgrounds and good values, good morals, good ethics, and respectful. And yes, sir, no, sir. You're not worried about them at night. You're not worried about getting a phone call at 2:00 in the morning. These kids are out, running amok and getting in trouble and stuff like that. I make it happen at any point in time. No, the kids aren't perfect. They're teenagers and they are kids, but I just think that they have an appreciation for the game. They work really hard. And good attitudes and things like that. So we've got kids from California, we have kids from New York, Chicago, so we don't discriminate. We're going to get the best available player no matter where they're from, even if they're from overseas somewhere. But I think we've been able to get a few diamonds in the rough from these 3 states. And that's kind of our main focus in terms of the South is recruiting Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Georgia. We've had some success out of Georgia as well. So just tough kids and about the right thing and want to come to college and get an education and have a great basketball experience and then transition into life and try to have a huge impact. So we've done well in those places and we hope that'll continue for us.
All right. Now, looking at your schedule, didn't hold anything back, but put the schedule together this year. It looks like, you start off with Big Ten opponent, Northwestern, then you've got Southern Illinois, you've got ACC opponent Louisville, UNC Greensboro, West Kentucky. You've got a nice Pac-12, Washington State down the line. You've got a nice, tough out-of-conference schedule, and looks like you're playing in one of those new pod games that they're calling the pods, where you're getting about 4 or 5 games in Louisville right after Thanksgiving. So just kind of talk about your schedule right quick.
Well, I mean, obviously it was difficult with COVID because you had the pre-COVID schedule, and then you had the post. Well, I won't say post because COVID's still here, but you start working on your schedule. Obviously in February and March before COVID really got going, and then obviously a lot of things changed once the NCAA moved it back, and because initially it was supposed to be November 10th start date, moved it back to November 25th. So then you were kind of scrambling to try to get games and things like that. The games that had been, canceled from the earlier schedule, you were scrambling to try to get games. But I think the Wade Houston Classic, which is in Louisville, it gives us an opportunity. If we can get, to the 25th, and everybody can be free of COVID, and we can travel up and play Northwestern, I think that's going to be great for us. And then we can move over and be at Louisville in that bubble, so to speak, the 5 games there. I mean, I think that really would get us off to a great start in terms of the first 6 games. But I mean, you always want to try to play the best available opponent, no matter where they are. I mean, obviously, the HBCUs, obviously we travel sometimes near, sometimes far to be able to put a schedule together. But it really was about availability, to be honest with you. The Washington States and Grand Canyon, that they're on our schedule as well. It was really like, we wanted to try to get to the NCAA mandated 27 game to obviously to qualify for the NCAA tournament. So, it was just it got to the point to where it was like, not take what we can get, but just what made sense, what made sense. And I always like to try to schedule where we can move and travel, different coasts, or our players can get an opportunity to see different parts of the country. I think that's really good for their growth and their development. But it's definitely was a difficult schedule to put together because there's a lot of moving parts and just trying to make the dates work and things like that. And different conferences got different rules and protocols and things like that. And obviously the money wasn't this year. The guaranteed money wasn't what it normally would be in a normal. So you get on a plane and fly 3.5 hours out to Pullman, Washington. For normally you go out there for 75, 80, 85,000. Now you're going out there for maybe 45 or 50. So does that make sense? You know what I mean? So all that went into it, but at the end of the day, we had to put a schedule together to be able to play, to be able to get to the 27 games and give us an opportunity to play against quality competition and want to go in and win. I mean, it's more than just going to pick up a check. We go in with the mindset, we want to pick up a check, great. We also want to have a chance to win. That's what we prepare for. Prepare really hard to go in and have a chance to upset some of these teams. But obviously to put us in a position where we can go in a conference on January 2nd, locked and loaded and ready to go and have a chance to defend our crown, which is something that we're looking to do, and maybe have an opportunity to three-peat, which I think hasn't been done much in this conference. I think Mike Davis at Texas Southern was the last person to do that, maybe the only person to do that, in my knowledge, since I've been around. So and that's important to us. So schedule solid. I think it gives us a chance to see where we are early and have a chance to improve and get better and match up with some teams that I think if the ball bounces our way, get a call here or there, we might have a chance to win.
Yeah. Now it's a little early. We're not gonna really actually get too much into conference forecasting and everything. But one question I do want to ask you: we know Southern was right there on your coattail the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of Southern, who do you think is the team for you to watch in the conference on your side and on the other side?
Obviously, Texas Southern is always, it's just, you can't say Prairie View without Texas Southern. You can't say Texas Southern without Prairie View. No matter how good or bad, the teams are that particular year. That's just synonymous, those two institutions. But I think Jackson State, I think that there's a lot of energy down there right now. They got a great athletic director. My former boss here, Ashley Robinson. They got another guy running around down there. I think his name may be Cleon Sanders. No, Deion Sanders. So, there's so much excitement down at Jackson. And I think Wayne Brent is an underrated coach. I think he's done a great job. He's been one of the pillars in our league. They're always well prepared. Great defensive team. They always play the right way. And he always puts a good product out on the floor. So I look to them to be a team that, I'm not saying people are taken lightly, but I just think that they're at the point now where they've been pretty close and they finished strong this last season. So I think that they're primed and ready to make a big leap. And so, I think Texas Southern and obviously Jackson and there's many other teams too. But I look at those two teams, near and far that I think someone that we have to keep our eye on and be prepared for sure.
All right, we're going to get you out of here, Coach. I always like to open the floor, let you get off any comments or anything that you need to get off your chest. This is your platform right now, Coach.
I appreciate you having me. I always like to, speak and work on my, my deliverance, my media, getting better with the media, things like that. We're just really excited about the 2020-21 season. We've got a good group of young men that are working really hard right now and just want a chance to go out and show their talent, to the world. Really, my coaching staff's working really hard. Got a good group of young coaches that are busting their tail right now to prepare these guys. And so everybody's going out to audition and to just kind of show the world, really, what we've been working towards and trying to get ready for. So we pray to God that we have an opportunity to get to our season, get through our season. It's tough. This is a challenging time right now. It's very unpredictable times. This is a situation that's unprecedented with this virus. We've never seen it before, anything like it. And it just has such a great impact right now. So it's a fluid situation. It's kind of tenuous. It's day to day. It's hard to make plans, as you know, because, you never know what the next day is going to bring. But if we can get to the court, I think that you will see an exciting team that's going to play really hard. It's going to defend. It's going to share the basketball. And just going to go out there and play with great effort, enthusiasm, energy, and toughness each and every night, and really just show that it's an honor and a privilege to have this game and to be able to play this game, and not look at it like it's a right, but it's a privilege. So we're going to play the game the right way. We're going to be competitive. We'll be tough, and then we'll let the scoreboard take care of itself at the end of the night. But we're really excited about 2021. Different team, new team, but that's what they pay you money for as a coach, to be able to make the adjustments and be able to get a new group to buy into what you're doing, and obviously to accept the culture, and I think the culture is established now, but to continue the culture the way that we've established it, and get out there on that court, man, and just try to do the best we possibly can and make Prairie View Nation proud. So that's kind of my 2 cents, and really looking forward to it this year for sure.
All right, Coach. Tell everybody out there, if they got a player that they need to that you need to put on your radar to keep an eye on, how they get in touch with you. If they just want to follow Prairie View A&M basketball, where to follow you guys at, and most importantly, if they got a check that they want to send to support Prairie View basketball, what do they send that information to?
Go to www.pvamu.edu. That's our website, and you can go on and obviously I'm on there. My number, my email address, bbsmith@pvamu. Send us an email. Send the email first and let me know whether when the check is coming. If you have a 6'11" kid that can cross over, can shoot threes, and can jump over the shot clock, make sure you send me that email as quickly as you possibly can at bbsmith@pvamu.edu. But we're easy to find. We're on the World Wide Web. Easy to find. My number's on the website. So if the player is really good and if the check is really big, you can just call me at 832-473-0129. I'll give you an opportunity to personally reach out to me if the player is really good and the check's really big. So, but yeah, we're easy to find, and we're always looking to improve and get better. And, like I said, again, at the end of the day, we just want to put a good product on the floor and make our institution proud and make all our alumni around the country proud of the Panther men's basketball program.
There it is, Panther Nation. Coach Byron Smith, head men's basketball coach of your Prairie View A&M Panthers. My name is A.D. Drew, and for the Black College Sports Network, we thank you. And make sure you stay tuned for more exciting interviews with some of our basketball coaches from throughout the HBCU diaspora. So for Coach Byron Smith, this is A.D. Drew. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, A.D. Appreciate you, brother.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
they can follow their dreams. But my beats, they are hard.